off from a surviving standpoint, right? I look at surviving as taking care of our people, number one, right? And I noticed in the poll, people was a little low. Would encourage the group to really think about the well-being of the people. That is the most important thing, and it's the number one priority that I have as we navigate this kind of journey, right? The number two priority in surviving is customers and making sure you're empathizing with your customers. Many of our customers are dealing with dire situations, and so that's part of surviving. And then the last one is our company and the health of our company. So that's the kind of survive dimension. As I think about thriving, thriving is about continuing to evolve, continuing to transform. Rick mentioned about our agile transformation. We're leaning in heavier than before. We're innovating more and more than we ever have, even in these remote situations. And I'll be happy to share with you a little more about that as I go through the quick talk I'm going to have with you. Really, my goal in this few minutes I have with you is I impart a little bit of knowledge, and I hope that you're able to take one or two things away and use them in your business. I also hope in the Q&A, selfishly, I maybe get one or two nuggets that I can use as well, because we're never too senior or too old or too young to learn. I really embrace that mentality. I want to take you back on a journey 2 years ago when I started at TrackPhone. I was hungry, right? I was passionate about changing the company, changing the culture. My first day, I felt like I was transformed in a time machine back 20 years. And so the culture had a lot that we needed to do. And when I think about the things that were in place, I think about really a lack of engagement from the executives down to the frontline employees. I think about very little engaging communications. I think about, a culture that didn't have empowerment, a little bit of command and control, maybe even a lot of command and control, a disinterested social media strategy. Really, our culture at the time was measuring employee feedback annually, right? And really not thinking about well-being. And then customer feedback monthly. And from a working from home standpoint, this is important, the theme of the event here. It wasn't until Q4 of 2019 that we were able to create a work from home pilot. And I'm pleased because I was able to create an environment where the employees felt safe to speak up, to take ownership, and really they drove the strategy for the work from home pilot. We were able to put it in place. We were able to establish a policy through a lot of hard work. I would even say a lot of skepticism because the culture really wasn't there yet. But thank God we had that pilot in place, and thank God the employees were able to rally from the grassroots to create it. And that is what gave us the position to be able to thrive as we went through the rest of the journey. Now I'll bring you forward to February of this year. I am sitting with my peers. We're talking about what we think is going to happen with the global situation, with the pandemic, with our customers, our business. I'll tell you personally, I felt emotions of nervousness, anxiety, uncertainty. And so we had very specific concerns. I had specific concerns around what we were going to be dealing with. One, I knew we were going to have emotional stress and emotional times with personal situations and professional situations. I thought we were going to have a disengaged workforce as we went remote, right? Less collaboration. Most importantly, I thought we were going to have less productivity. I thought our innovation cycle was going to decline. We had worked so hard prior to going remote, and I did not want that happen. But I was really concerned about how would we innovate. Innovation is all about collaboration, working together in a highly intense way. I was concerned about that. And then lastly, I was concerned about our ability to take a pilot to full scale working remote. And I knew we weren't going to have a lot of time. So as the CIO, I'm looking at it saying, I've got 200 people in a pilot. I've got to get to 2,000. How am I going to do that? And it was a bit daunting. So those are the concerns that I had as I looked at the February timeframe. This was when it was the start, right? We didn't have our first case in Florida yet, but it was beginning to look pretty onerous. Now fast forward to, let's say last week, right? I'm meeting with my direct reports, and I'm talking to them about how they're feeling. I'm talking to them about the results that we've seen. The results we saw were, yes, there was a stress level of emotion. Yes, there was the concern personally and professionally that each of us had at different levels, but that one we nailed from the original, what I thought, to what I saw. Where I got it wrong completely was the collaboration. I would tell you, I've seen dramatic increases in collaboration, emotional connections with employees that didn't exist before. I never thought we would see that. Most importantly, the productivity levels have been through the roof. And I would encourage you guys to think about if you've seen similar situations. We actually have another problem where I'm having to encourage folks to establish boundaries so that they don't work so hard that they burn out. That is something I never anticipated. Productivity is through the roof. Innovation, we've innovated at scale larger than we ever have, and I want to give you a specific example here in a little bit. And then the technology deployment and going from 200 to 2,000, it was hard. We did it, and we did it easier than I thought. Now I want to talk a little bit about our journey in terms of how we accomplished the results that we did. And I think this is really the most important part of what I'm going to speak about. I had the chance, I think this will resonate, I had a chance to listen to several customer calls. And if I go back to kind of before and then now, yeah, I listen to customer calls. And this is, in this example, is a customer care situation. I listen to customer calls every single day. And that's another difference between before and now. This specific customer call was about a gentleman in New York City in the ICU, very close to going on a ventilator, pleading with us as a company to give them a few more days to be able to pay their service. And what I'm most proud of is that we've been able to pivot and give customers what they need in this situation, is particularly when they're in a dire situation like what I just described. And one of the things as a company and as I individually really aspire to and relate is Simon Sinek's Infinite Game. If you haven't read that book, please do. That's our perspective. That's my perspective. That's how we run the business. And so we're making decisions for our employees, for our customers that really are not about this quarter, this month, even if it's not to our financial benefit. In some cases, we're investing in our customers and their loyalty. And we've empowered our frontline employees. So back to the story I mentioned of the customer care agent. Our customer care agents are empowered to take care of our customers, even if it means a financial cost to the company. And that's the kind of company I'm proud to be with, and that's the kind of culture that I've helped create at TrackPhone. I'd also tell you that prioritizing social time, prioritizing virtual town halls, coffee times, those kinds of things, really critical. Not work, no work agenda, right? It's about coming together as a team, making sure we're good, giving us tips and techniques on how to balance this kind of uncertain and difficult situation that we're all in. You know, we put together stand-ups, and they're not the typical stand-ups like you would imagine in the agile space where, you know, what'd you do today? What are you going to do tomorrow? What obstacles do you have? It's not that. It's how are you doing? Are you okay? Do you have any concerns? Can we help you? So the compassion, the caring, the well-being, that really has trumped everything. And for me personally, that's what it's about during this time. And that's what propels companies coming out of this situation to be far stronger, far better. And I think I heard that in one of the chats early on. This nation, this community, the companies, they're all going to be stronger as a result of this situation. I'm convinced of it. I want to talk a little bit on the innovation front specifically. I want to give you an example of what I mean by innovating at scale beyond what we could do when we were in the office. Okay, so 1 week ago, my head of innovation is on our daily task force call, which by the way has our full executive team on it and a broader cross-functional team. So the level of engagement with our executives now to the broader group has tremendously increased. The innovation lead raises her hand and says, hey, I don't know if this is the right time to talk about this, but I just heard a very big customer problem that I think we can solve. This is 1 week ago. Suggested a hackathon. We immediately said, yes, let's do it. We immediately said, we're going to do it as a full company. Since then, over 1 week, we've had a call to action from the CEO, my boss, to the entire company to say, we're going to do this. We want the full company to participate. We've set aside a full day on Monday, this coming Monday, to innovate and solve this problem and deliver a solution in 30 days. And I would tell you that in the office, that never would have happened. So if I go back to February, never would have happened. Never would have been able to pivot in 1 week and rally the entire company to solve a customer problem. Okay, so I think that's another example of the silver lining and how we're learning. The other thing I would tell you is the virtual town halls and the level of connection. So not only that task force that I mentioned, but every week we are communicating as an executive team. I'm communicating to my team. The CEO is communicating to the entire company. And so the level of interaction and the level of accessibility that we have has been tremendously trumped from where we were before. On the execution of work from home, I want to paint a vision for you. So 200 employees that are working from home in a pilot situation with a pilot policy, and still what I would say skepticism in the organization on whether it even made sense to take it to scale, okay? That was approved in the fourth quarter of 2019. Now in February, we need to execute, in early March, we need to execute a massive 1,800 plus deployment of laptops and VPNs. So we took our training center of 100 plus people, that the size of the room fits 100 plus people. We established a production line with sanitary, with everything in it, social distancing, and we were able to deploy those laptops and VPNs with the collaboration tools and the proper training in 72 hours. An unbelievable exercise of collaboration that the entire team was able to do, and I was happy to be the leader that was responsible for making that happen. I would tell you that the collaboration tool front didn't take a lot of work. There was the necessity of you needed to use it, and what I saw in terms of lessons learned and sharing of information and, hey, how do we do this? Hey, here's how you do this. It was just magical to be a part of. So I'll leave you with a couple of things, and then I want to show you something. So I'll leave you with, there's really 3 ways that you can think about approaching the situation you're in. You can be pragmatic, okay? You can be pessimistic, or you can be optimistic. I'm practicing optimism. As you've heard me talk from the things that I've said, there's an end at this that's going to be stronger and better and brighter than we've ever seen. And optimism is the way to be. I want to show you a video that really inspired me, and I think will inspire you about what the future holds. Rick, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you, Jay. Let me go ahead and share the video. Hold on. Everybody hear me? I want to make sure.
Volume.
Yes.
Can't wait for a year's time when all of this
Yeah,
is
no.
I
think you have to do the
share the sound. There's a rise in small businesses as all the entrepreneurs had a moment of stillness
Hold on.
and creativity. The virus crisis is changing life as we know it dramatically.
A glitch in the matrix.
I can't wait for a year's time. All of this is a distant memory. And there is a corona baby.
The virus crisis is changing life as we know it dramatically tonight.
I can't wait for a year's time when all of this is a distant memory. And there is a corona baby boom because all the lovers were loving. And there is a rise in small businesses because all the entrepreneurs had a moment of stillness and creativity. And all the children remember nothing but a time when all the mums and dads were at home drawing and playing ball games, and we remember it as the time we all got to stop and be present. We will remember the time our health was our first priority, and people learned new ways to use fresh produce to feed their families. We remember the laughter and fun on TikTok, FaceTiming with our friends and family each day, date nights in the house, and home PE workouts with Joe Wicks. A time our real heroes in the NHS urged us to stay at home for the greater good, and our country showing their support by turning Wembley and the Angel of the North blue. And we were all forced to think outside the box and dream up new things and reinvent old ways. And for once, even amongst the chaos, there was community. There was a global rise in togetherness, and as the streets were quiet, our homes were bustling with love and laughter. That time is coming soon, just like any other crisis before it. This will all be a distant memory, a thing we soon listen to our children discuss in classrooms, a once was that we share with our grandchildren. So to you, I know it's unsettling, but focus on the silver lining. We're all in this together, and there is so much beauty to see.
So Rick, I'd like to just close by thanking, if everybody can still hear me, by thanking the group, thanking the PMI group, thanking you and the Transformation Experts team. I've enjoyed the interaction, and I look forward to hearing how the event turns out. I wish you guys the best of luck and the greatest of collaboration. Cheers.
Woo!
Thank you.
Great job. Great
Thank
job.
you.
So any quick questions that are on the chat? And I know we don't have much time because we're jumping to several other sessions, but do you have any conversation there that we would like to?
Ask Jay. Any questions for Jay on the chat?
No questions so far, but we do have a lot of thank you, Jay. That was great, awesome speech. Feel very inspired. It was very helpful. Great stuff, and lots of thanks.
Hey Jay, quick question for you. When we get by this, have you given any thought to maybe the transition back?
Yes, yes. So great question, very relevant and timely question. The answer is yes, although I would say the thinking is still evolving, and I'll share with you some of our considerations so far. Some of the things I brought to the table. Really, there will be never the kind of the old way, right? There'll be a phased approach to how we start to collaborate more personally. We see from returning to office, I think there'll be a phased in terms of, in order to keep the distance, there'll be some people that come one time, some people that come at another time. I also see temperature checking and maybe even testing before folks come back to work. I see working from home being accepted at a far greater level because we've proven the productivity of it. The team members are going to be excited about that. I think that overall, we're going to see the new normal be a far greater level of hybrid, working further apart, but having greater levels of collaboration.
Thank you, sir.
One more question. Again, we're trying to move it on. And what we're going to do, just so that everyone's clear with this, is any questions that you have for Jay, we're going to go ahead and capture it. And we're going to follow up with Jay and get some answers to that. So he's not going to sneak away. We'll have a good grasp on him. Any other question that we want to address?
Where do you plan to? Oh, there's a great one here. Jay, where do you plan to be in 3 years?
Okay. So I have aspirations, two kind of parallel tracks, and I have no problem sharing them with them. I've shared them with my boss. So one is a CEO track. I think I add value from a leadership standpoint far greater than just IT, and I would be humbled and proud to lead a company overall. So that's one track, and particularly within the America Mobile family, which is TracFone's a key part. I got to learn Spanish though, so I might need some help, Rick. So that's got a one track. The other track would be, CIO for a Fortune 100. Got some interest out there, but I'm not done at TracFone yet. So don't anybody get any early conclusions. We've got to finish the journey at TracFone first, but those would be the two things that I see in my horizon.
Awesome. Again, thank you very much, Jay, for having you. Excellent job.
Thank you, Rick, for having me. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the event. Cheers, guys.
All right,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so great job, Jay. And we're going to go ahead and open up now the PowerPoint so that we could talk about the rest of the event. Hope that you guys are enjoying yourself. And let me share my screen. And I'm going in here to, okay. So terrific. So now is where I really want to challenge everyone in the event. So we've got over 200 participants that I see so far in the event. At this point is where I think the most challenging part of this event will happen. Okay, I need to coordinate a session where everyone's going to use Zoom and update their information. And I'm going to do it by a little icebreaker. So this is the challenge. Everyone in Zoom, when they log in, they have a name, your name, right? So I would like to see how we could change your name and maybe put a superhero next to your name, right? So right now, my name is host Rick Reguera. But if I wanted to change it and for it to actually say something else, I believe I have my slide presentation here. These are the steps that I would follow, okay? So just understand, and I know some of you guys are using different applications, but these are foundational. Even on your phone, you have a method of doing this. So the first thing you want to do in Zoom is you want to locate your Zoom, right? So this is like Zoom. You see the toolbar at the bottom, and you should see participants here. Shouldn't say 3, it should say like 200, right? 199, one person just dropped off, not acceptable, okay? So we have an area there where it says participants, okay? Should be easy to find. The next step that I need you to do is once you click that participant, all I want you to do is you'll notice that your name is on the top of the list right there. Your name is on the top of the list, okay? So there's a little more button next to it. And the idea behind it, if you were to click the more, you would have the ability to change your name. See where it says rename? And you would actually be able to put a different name. So the challenge is to put something different than your name. A superhero, right? So what is the superhero that you admire? And I'm curious to see how many of us can actually change our names right now and have a superhero. So I'm going to be reviewing the list and seeing how many different types of superheroes we have out there. And this
Rick, this is Tim. Can you see Mike?
I have not yet, Tim, but I swear I'm going to look at it in a second. Hold on. So the exercise is going to help us to make sure that we know easily how to change this, so that when we're able to go into the different sessions, all we're going to need to do is actually put, do I want to go to session 1, session 2, or session 3? So I need to see how this is going. Regina, how's the list going so far?
We got some good ones here.
Tim said that he had something. Let me see. What was Tim's? Did we see Tim's?
Lardman.
Huh? He's what?
Lardman.
Oh, nice. Who else? What other superheroes are out there? You got any?
Popeye.
Wonder Woman.
Oh my God, Popeye. Oh my God,
Popeye.
Okay. What else?
We got Batman.
We've got Batman. Yeah.
There's one person on the bridge.
Captain America. CA.
Nice. Okay. So is the majority. So give me a count on how many people have been successful. I'm just curious, how well did I explain this? And how good did Rick do in actually having this exercise completed? So how many
We have a lot. Actually, we have Doctor Strange over here. We're still missing a lot of people. Right now, people are changing their names.
That's okay. Doctor Strange, I love that. That's a good one.
Master of the Universe.
Masters of the Universe. Thank you.
We've got Gamora.
Gamora, I love it.
And the Flash.
The Flash. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Green Lantern. We have Green Lantern over here.
Okay, great.
What else? We have.
Okay. All right. So I'm just giving you a couple.
We got a lot of Wonder Womans.
A lot of Wonder Woman? What's going on?
Oh, woman power.
Guys.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
And one Xena.
Oh, Zena,
We have
I love Zena.
Does
we
anybody
have Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen or Ghost Spider.
does anybody remember ISIS? Does anybody remember ISIS?
I have no
I,
idea.
Isis, the Egyptian goddess?
Yeah.
All right, how's it
Yes,
looking out?
I do, Regina.
Okay, I know. We're a little bit from that generation.
All right, let's keep looking at the bridge. How else? Are
Starfire and Starman. I
All
guess.
right.
Storm from the X-Men.
I love it. Love it. All right. So now that we feel strong that you guys are able to do that, or at least the majority of you guys, if you can't, I understand, and the admins are there to help you, but it might not affect you. And what I mean by that is depending on what session you go to. Okay, so now that you know how to change the name, and we've played this small exercise, the idea is to now decide, I'm going to go back to the other slide here, is with our speakers in the different slots, we need to decide where is it that you want to go? What's presentation? Does this mean that now I can't see the other presentations, Rick? There's 6 great speakers here. Why is that? No, we're going to record the sessions. So you're not going to miss out. You're going to go to one sessions, but we'll have all the recordings. We're going to have it in the PMI site, and we're going to have it in our site as well. So you're going to be able to review all the sessions and what came out of that session. Okay, so please don't worry about that. So understand the speakers that are taking, understand the tracks, right? So, and this is not the correct time, but I guess we are moving kind of that time. So the first track is going to be in room 1. We're going to have best practices for working remotely. So that's Regina. Regina, you want to say anything quick about that?
This is part of the people track. Overall, great tips and tricks on how to facilitate, be a co-facilitator, and work with your teams during this remote time and still have them be high performing. Awesome.
The second one is processes, which is Marcelo. Marcelo, you there?
Yeah, Mom, I'm here. I got strong-armed into including the word VUCA, which I hate as an acronym. But we're going to look at that funny word and what that means to your processes now that we're all working remotely from each other.
And on tools, Anderson, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, I'm going to work with Art. Art's is on the call as well. We're going to create a very interesting life cycle for you guys where you can do exactly everything you would do normally physically, but now remotely. We're going to give you all the tools you need to do everything you need to do and still be more productive. So we are very, very excited for that.
Right. So you should know it's not the same presentation twice. The first part is going to be more general, and then in the second session, we're going to get into the specifics within a life cycle.
Awesome. So think of that as the first round. And then we have the second round that we're kicking off as well. And the first room in that case is navigating change when rapidly remote. And we have Mark. How you doing, Mark?
Good. So this one's also in the people track. And you know, the title kind of says it all. I've worked with teams, remote teams, for well over 15 years, and have seen some that have moved rapidly into remote, not quite as fast as we've had this last month or so, but give you some ideas on how to handle the situation you're in now and what's to come, because it's going to be a while before we resolve this. Oh, and Marcelo's waving my book around. Thank you, Marcelo.
Nice. Arthur, we got a great job, Mark. All right, in the second room, we got overcoming remote working challenges. Heidi and Leon, talk to us.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to speak here today. And so I also have lots of experience working with distributed and remote teams back since 1999. And throughout that time, I've discovered strategies for success. So what does your team need to consider in order to be successful when we're working remotely, especially when you're suddenly working remotely? And so those are the things that I hope to leave you with some actual concrete tips when you go back to work on Monday, what you can do to be successful with your newly remote team.
Awesome. Thank you, Heidi. And Leon, anything you want to say, sir?
Yeah, I think I'd love to talk about working with your coworkers, your new coworkers, meaning your kids and pets and dogs and cats and everything else. How are you doing with your new coworkers? So we're going to be talking about that too.
Awesome, great job. And I believe we've already mentioned number 3, which Anderson and Arthur mentioned that. Awesome. So see it, there's 2 sessions going, right? So we got the first one that's going from, again, 9:50, maybe a little bit earlier, to around 10:45, and we'll adjust a little bit if we need to on time. But the idea behind it is that you guys can go ahead and determine what session you want to go to. How do you do this? Very simple. The same way you changed your superhero, you're going to be able to put a number in front of your superhero. So if I want to stay in the best practices for working remotely with Regina, I would put a number 1 in front of my name. If I want to do room 2, where I want to do with processes, I would put a number 2 in front of my name. And the last one of 3, if I wanted to go into tools. Like I told you earlier, it will be recorded. We will make sure you share it, and we'll have more collaboration sessions in the future. So don't think this is the end of it. Yes, it's free, but we're giving back to you guys. Okay, so that's the first round. Then we'll regroup again, and we'll worry about the second round. Okay, so right now, what I need you to do is I need you to start listing on your name which number. If you don't put a number, you will stay in the main bridge, which we're going to have Regina work on that main bridge.
Put a number 1.
So
Yeah,
put a number 1 just to indicate. And if you don't, that's fine. You'll stay there anyways. Okay. Just want to make sure if you're having problems and you can't figure out the tool, you will be in Regina's session, which I think will be a fun session. Okay. So please start updating your list. The coaches are going to go ahead and go to their rooms, and they're going to wait for you there so that they can start talking through it. Now, we're probably looking for maybe a 5-minute break, guys. I know some of you guys might want to get quick water and come back in. So that's what I'm estimating, a quick 5-minute break. So if we're looking at the time, I know it is 9:50 is what we're talking about, but let's make it 9:52. Okay. I don't know if that's too.
But go ahead and put your number before taking the break. That way the admins can very quickly move you to the correct room when you come back.
Yes, you need to do that now. You really want to make sure you're doing that number change right now so that we can disperse you and put you guys into the room. Have a good time. The sessions are going to be engaging. They're going to be collaborative, and they're going to ask a lot of questions. You're going to have a great time. Okay?
Yeah.
So,
Regina, these people love you.
What? No. I'm having a hard time picking the number.
no.
I see a lot of ones.
I see the VUCA.
This is where the jealousy across.
Yeah.
We're supposed to
I gotta wear my hat, Art. I should.
Yeah. Trying to drum up business here.
Oh my goodness. Okay. We're on in this. We're going to figure this out again. So please put what's the percentage of people that have been updating their stuff? Can someone give me some numbers, please?
Sure, we have a lot of people, right? Going 2, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Going to 3 is process, 2 is tool, and number 1 is
3
on
is
the bridge.
tools.
No. So 1.
3 is tools.
3 is tools.
So
And 2 is
1 is
processing.
people, 2 is process, 3 is technology or tools, technology. Okay. So again, are we ready, guys? I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and start moving people into the rooms. Speakers, please take care of your room, and then we'll call you guys back into the main session.
Admins, please remember to send Professor X to the room that I belong in.
Correct. Yeah, you have to send the coaches, and we should tell everybody that if you want to change your room midstream, that's okay. Just put a note in the chat.
Yes, thank you. Good point, Art. And you guys can do that in your speaker session. So if for some reason you feel like you need to change and it's not as exciting for you, you can go ahead and switch. It's like that open space type of format. Okay, enjoy. And we will be starting in 2 minutes. In 2 minutes. Thank you again for being here. And I will be available via chat if you need me as well. And I think the admins are taking care of all that. And as soon as Regina logs in, she's turning on her computer right now. she's going to go ahead and start. So this is the main session. So thank you guys for staying with us in the main session. We're going to have the way Regina is going to do her exercise is very collaborative, and there's going to be a lot of conversation. So with a large amount of group, we need to make sure that we're working well. And there are going to be several coaches. So me and her, and maybe we might have some other coaches also assist in this session.
Rick, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Regina. So if you want me, I can stop sharing my screen, Regina, and you can go ahead and start sharing yours. Let me know if you're listed as a co-presenter.
Okay, I think you're still sharing.
Okay, I'm going to stop mine. That's a nice bike in the background, Regina.
So we have a number 4 on the list.
That's okay. Just communicate with them to see what.
Nelu, assign me with Marcelo, please.
Okay.
Room 2.
Yes, going there.
All right. As she's setting that up,
where is the number placed?
In the front of the name. You're going to go ahead and place a number in the front of your name. Like you changed for superhero, you're just going to go ahead and put a number in the front of your name.
Okay, I missed the.
That's okay. We're going to walk you through it right now. So if you go, let me try to see if I can help you in a different chat because I don't want to interrupt this session right now. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the chat line.
Thank you.
And I'm going to go ahead and put the instructions. If you go to the website, the instructions are there related to, why am I sending this to Hulk? Everyone. Well, let me see that.
Okay, slowly but surely, everybody's moving into the rooms while
Marcelo,
working on that.
You should be in your room, right?
I have not been sent to my room as yet.
Okay.
Although technically, I.
Yes, you could. If you're already assigned, you could go. You can click on the breakout room.
Yeah.
Give me a second. I can't see you on the list. Why?
It should be under coach in front of it.
Okay, I see you guys.
Yep.
Okay.
Can you send me on with him, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on it.
And
I'm sorry, just.
It's fine.
It's okay.
Guys, remember you're talking on the main bridge with over 100-something people on the bridge.
And what are we supposed to see?
Okay, so can you all hear me okay? And I am sharing my screen.
Yes, we're seeing it.
I can hear you, see you, and see your screen.
Okay, wonderful.
We just need the admins to move more people, so check the chat. But you can go ahead, Regina.
Okay, so we're ready to get started? Awesome. Let me go ahead and put on the chat. Do I have Neilu on the line?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Neilu, you got the chat. You're helping me out with that. I guess
Yes,
Leon,
I
you're
am.
helping me out as well. Wonderful. Okay, so welcome to the people side of how do we adjust in this new, or perhaps some of you with some experience in the working remotely best practices. How many people do we have in the session, Neilu?
We have 70 people right now.
Regina,
Okay.
Can I pause a second? I just want to make
Yes.
sure. How many people do we have on the session?
Right now, 163.
How are you moving all the coaches? How are you doing? Are you done with that?
It's in process.
No, I'm still on it.
You gotta mute your line.
Okay, and then Nelu and Jesus, I see somebody that's on the chat that says that they requested room 3.
Yeah, they're working on it, Regina. It's gonna take a little while.
Okay,
Should have given it a little bit more time.
all right. It's 9:56. Are we starting?
Yeah, go ahead and start, Regina. Go ahead and start.
Okay, awesome. So rule of thumb, same thing. I know we've got my superheroes in breakout room. Woo! So thank you so much for joining me in breakout 1, all my superheroes. I'm a big superhero fan, Marvel Comics, you name it. I'm actually Wonder Woman, so that was my secret superhero. PDUs, I think you all are aware. This is an event that you will get PDUs for. Mute your lines if you're not talking, but I do want to see your faces so that if you guys have any questions, you can also raise your hands or go ahead and put your questions on the chat. And the admins are here to help you out with anything that you need. You'll see their names with the word admin in front of the chat name that's listed there. So you guys know Rick. He's one of our favorite, my personal favorite coach of all of them. Thank you, Rick. And as for myself, I've been in the industry for, oh my goodness, now over 25 years. You know, originally, you know, worked in business and IT system and project and IT deliveries, a lot of experience in a lot of different industries, HR, manufacturing, ERPs, you name it. But then I went agile. And I never turned back. And so now I'm an enterprise agile coach, you know, transforming companies and helping out, you know, wherever needed and doing business transformation and also business process improvement. So a lot of exciting things there. Right now, we are in a critical time, right? A lot has been changing that we were not expecting. A lot of us are very scared for our jobs. A lot of us have lost our jobs. A lot of us are scared for our families. Those of us that are in a job, we're like, wow, we gotta very quickly adjust to this new way of working so that we can keep our jobs, so that we can continue to produce and serve our customers. So how do we best do that? How do we best help our teams in this new environment that we're working in now with the fears, and at the same time make sure that we're still being productive, right? Those are a lot of the questions that we've been getting from our clients, from our community. The main thing that we started talking about this morning is no matter what, we have to stay positive. No matter what, we want to stay grateful, right? In the midst of all of this, we have to help each other out and we have to support each other. So we're gonna do a quick exercise and I need Nelu
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
chat. Can you please in the chat go ahead and put the Jamboard.
Yes.
We're gonna also do a little bit of tools. There's a great whiteboard tool called Jamboard that I've been using a lot for my remote facilitation. I've been using it to do fun activities with my teams. I've also been using it to actually get some work done. And it's called Jamboard and it's free. It's a Google app. We're gonna test it out and have you all go through that experience. So in the chat, I'm gonna have Nelu put, let me see here. She's gonna go to the chat and she's gonna put the link.
Yes, you'll have it on the link right now.
Okay, I want everybody to double click on the chat. Let me see, Lou, I'm still not seeing it on mine. I'm scrolling all the way down to the bottom.
Okay, just let me share it again on the chat and then I'm gonna share it with you on the private.
Okay, it looks like you have to copy it and paste it. Does everybody, I'm sharing my screen. You see right here where it says Jamboard Google? I'm gonna copy it, okay?
Can you see it on the chat, everyone? I just shared the link. You
I'm
should have
highlighting it. She put it in the 10 a.m. communication.
Thank you. Thank you for your feedback.
All right, so I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna open up a new browser. I'm gonna hit paste.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna hit enter. Oh my goodness, there's currently too many people viewing this file. Please try again later. I think we got more than the 50, right?
Yeah, so I'm gonna share a copy right
Okay.
now. So everyone who couldn't get into the first link can get into the other, okay?
Okay, awesome.
Be aware, people.
It's coming. Where's your copy?
Please let me know if you see it on the chat.
Not yet.
Okay. Okay.
Is it the one at 10:01?
No, it's right now. Oh, I shared it with someone privately. I'm sorry. Here it is. This is
Okay,
the
there it
copy.
is.
Can you see it?
All right, I'm copying it from the chat. I'm going back to my browser. All right, I'm in. Woohoo! Okay, so the people from the first that hit the first link, the people that just hit the second link, is everybody in? Is everybody seeing this right here? Give me a yes, give me a hoot.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Is there anybody that has not been able to get in who needs a third link? Or are we all good?
Yes. If please, if someone cannot get in link number 1 or link number 2, let me know so I can share with you a third link.
All right, so all the links are the same, okay? And in all the links, we are in frame bar number 1 of 20. Is everybody there? You should see a title that says Icebreaker. There's a question that says, what am I grateful for? And then here's how we're gonna do this game. I'm gonna hover over to the left. You see where it says sticky note? I'm gonna double click on sticky note and I'm gonna type in, I am grateful for my family. You hit save, but then you immediately hit cancel and you'll be getting out of that. So the instructions are, everybody go ahead and pick a sticky, pick a color, write down what you're grateful for right now. We want to see the pop-ups, and I know that Nelu, you're looking at the first link, correct?
Yeah, yeah. Regina, do you wanna have somebody share the first link because there's a bunch on there?
There's a bunch. Okay, I think Nelu, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Let's do one at a time. Let's do one at a time. Let me wait for this one, and then we'll
Yes.
go ahead and switch the sharing.
Okay, everyone, did you have the chance to get into the link number 1 or number 2? If you didn't, I have link number 3 here. Let me share it again, just in case you couldn't get in 1 or 2. We have link number 3 here.
So Nelu's in number 1, I'm in number 2. Leon, if you can get into number 3, is that okay?
Okay, I'm gonna go to number 2, just to be with people number 2. Okay. Yeah, we have on the link number 3, we've got 9 people so far.
Great. Okay,
10.
so
Sorry, go ahead.
Nelu, can
Yes,
you
ma'am.
read some of the items in number 1?
Of course, so we have, I am grateful for family, friends, the health of my family and friends. I'm grateful for this session. Great job so far. I'm grateful to still be able to work. Grateful for having my wife's awesome cooking. Okay. My loved ones are healthy. That's a great thing to be thankful for. Grateful for Wonder Woman. Me too.
Awesome.
The comforts of my home. Lots of family. I'm thankful for Christ. I'm thankful for my Peloton. There's someone playing with a laser. Good job. Cold beer in my fridge. Nice. Dedication of my company and family. Grateful for my health and my job. I'm grateful for my family. Thank you, Dorothy.
Awesome. So in Jamboard number 2,
Yeah,
I got a really good one here. I am grateful for toilet paper. Who's grateful for toilet paper? I love that one. Hopefully you have a good supermarket by your home that you can actually find some toilet paper in. My family, safe and healthy. Everyone in my family. Time for exercise. I'm actually getting a little bit more exercise than I have in the past few years. Trying to definitely prioritize that. Health, family, for everyone who reached out to check on me, to be able to still work, right? That's very good. Technology and a self-sufficient kid. That's good. So spending time with your kids. Let's see, Leon, what do we have in Jamboard number 3?
No, I was unable to get to Jamboard number 3, so I was in Jamboard number 1.
All right, who's in Jamboard number 3 that wants to help us out?
I'm in Jamboard number 3, and I see here, I'm grateful for having a job.
Okay.
And family and dog, my colleagues. Here it is. What else do we have? We have my colleagues, grateful for having time at home and adopting a second cat.
Oh my goodness.
And thankful for awesome work environment.
Great. All right, guys. So this was a test, right? To hopefully have you all get comfortable with this nice, fun tool. We use these tools to do retrospectives. You can design this tool in so many different ways. You can paste pictures, play Pictionary, play charades, have people draw things. You can also use the stickies to do brainstorming sessions for work. So there's a lot of great options with this tool here. Again, it's called Jamboard. So now I want you to go on the top, stay in your personal Jamboards, go to pane number 3. You should be in the whiteboard that says, what are your biggest challenges from working from home? And I want you to add some stickies in your Jamboard number 3 and tell us what are your biggest challenges right now. I'm gonna add my personal one. Yeah, we got some good ones. How are we doing with Jamboard number 1, Nelu? You got some good ones there? And number 3?
We've got great. Hey, Leon, let me pass it on the link number 3 again, just to make sure if you can get in there. Give me a second. There we go. Please let me know if you can get in. Okay, so we have on the number 1, we've got what is your current experience working from home? People are not still putting on here. People, you have to go to frame number 2, people who are in link number 3 and people who are in link number 1.
Okay, it's the third pane, right? The one with the biggest challenges working from home.
Yes, third frame. Okay, so I'm here on link number 1. We have what is the biggest challenge in personal time? Taking a break, finding work, connectivity, communication with the team on site, working too much. I've been a remote worker for 5 years. There's someone who's actually pretty happy. No challenge is perfect. Never been off of work. I feel like I am on a call all the time because I never leave the office. Challenging, limited ability to interact with team members, sitting too long. Disconnecting from work, missing coworkers and friends. Challenging things, taking care of elderly parents at the same time. Following up with people who don't attend online meetings. Getting a good quality connection to communicate with the team members in South America.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Some good
Yeah.
one. All right. In link number 2,
Yes.
working while my husband is not. Oh, that's not fair. That's not fair. All right. Workspace, uncomfortable office environment. Somebody ordered a standing desk. Guess what? I got a good one from Office Depot. I don't know if everybody can see this. Can somebody see this? I have some good
You see it.
recommendations. It's light, it's got wheels. So if you have any questions on that, reach out to me afterwards, okay? Standing desk is very important because sitting down it's all the time is not good for your body. Wake up and start working in my space. I had personally put lines between work and home time, too much work, stepping away from the computer, working late, reliable internet connection, keep people from multitasking during virtual meetings, okay, facilitators. None, I've been more productive, that's pretty good. Too many emails surrounding distractions. All right, in link number 3, what do we have?
Okay. So link number 3, we have, okay, so we have miss my team not getting work done as fast as I do off-site, not responding to emails at 11 p.m. Focusing is a very, very big one. My dog barking during conference calls. Physical movement, no personal interaction, distraction, husband and dog. Okay, so dog is an important thing here. Stopping work at the end of the day, miss my monitor, stopping work.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you for sharing. I'm gonna go back to the main presentation. Can everybody see the main presentation now? I'm sharing. Can everybody see the main presentation now?
Yeah, we're
Yes.
now on our experience.
Okay, perfect. So at Transformation Experts, we've actually had a 100% remote team for the last 2 years. We have a lot of great learning and lessons learned, and we wanted to kind of present our team. So Nelu, tell us a little bit about where is our team located?
So we are locating in different parts of the globe right now. Many of us come from Venezuela. And right now, for example, my name is Neilu and I am in Colombia right now.
You can run this thing as she's talking.
We have Alfonso, who is right now in Salta in Argentina. We have Natalia, who's working from Mexico. We have Monica, who's working from Colombia. We have Jesus there. Jesus is working from Peru.
We should all.
And I think Rick should probably go on mute. Rick, are you on mute?
No, I'm here, Regina. Sorry.
Okay, are you sharing? Okay, all right, good. All right, so this is Rick and our admin remote team, kind of presenting the folks. So yeah, we got people in Mexico, we've got people in Peru, Colombia, Argentina, and Venezuela. So we have a lot of great lessons learned from this 100% remote team. A lot of these folks have not met each other in person. Their relationship has started as they started working together for Transformation Experts. But they've been using Zoom for 2 years. They've been collaborating. They've been communicating. They've been working and delivering to our customers. So we have some really good experience and lessons learned that we can share with all of you from our perspective. All right, thank you, Nelu. Some fact or fiction. Let's see if some of these are fact or fiction. What do you guys think? Remote workers tend to be more educated. Is that true or not? Remote workers are lonely and unhappy. I don't know about that. Meetings are ineffective. Productivity is decreasing. Remote employees are more engaged. Remote work is the fastest growing commute option. Brainstorming remotely fails. Remote work keeps older people in the workforce longer. That's an interesting one. So some of these are some facts or fictions that the industry has been buzzing about remote working in the last couple of years. These may all not be true to the world that we live in today. So let's talk about some of the pain points that we've heard And the most important feedback we just got is the feedback that we just got from all of you right now, right? A lot of you said connectivity is an issue. A lot of the companies that we support, they don't have enough bandwidth for the flux of remote workers that they currently have right now, if that was not a standard policy that they had in the past. And they just started doing that right now. So VPN and connectivity has been a huge issue for some companies. Your workspace. A lot of us have always been in the office and we don't have ergonomically set up space in our homes where we could work. Privacy, blurred lines. Now you're home with your kids, with your cats, with your dogs. You know, they're walking into the room. I was in a meeting the other day and, you know, we had a business analyst who had her baby on her lap because that's what she normally does when she's at home. She didn't have anybody else to take care of her baby. And you know what? That's actually okay. We as leaders and as managers have to be okay with that because she's still working, but she's also taking care of her family at the same time. Building trust. Leaders, you have to trust your employees. You have to trust that they're doing the right thing. This is part of the change in culture. Guess what? If you work in an organization where trust has not been prevalent, this is a great opportunity for you to turn that ship around. Have a different conversation with your employees. Trust them. They want to do a good job and trust that they do. Conflict resolution. How do you still have that same face-to-face and ability to have conversations now when you're not physically in the same room with everybody, right? How do you have that camaraderie? How do you keep that same energy level and motivation with your employees and your teams? Those are some of the questions we're going to be talking about in this session. Social isolation. For those that are by themselves in a home or in an apartment, and they used to love going into the office, they may be going stir crazy. What can you do with your teams to help remediate and alleviate some of that social isolation? So here are the known industry remote struggles: unplugging after work, loneliness, collaboration, communication, distractions at home, being in a different time zone, staying motivated, taking vacation time. Now people feel guilty about taking a day off. You know, we've got some holidays coming up and people are like, well, I'm at home. Should I actually take the day off or not? How do we differentiate, you know, that time off from working? How is that going to be seen by your supervisors, right? And then obviously the connectivity part. So people, process, and tools is the main focus. So I'm going to ask the coaches, what competencies does a virtual team need? You know, in your organizations, a lot of you already work for high-performing teams, but now you're taking those teams out of their comfort zone. What are some of the competencies and characteristics that you're expecting for these teams to have now in a virtual environment to continue to be high performing? I want to hear from you guys. So let's see, we're going to ask the coaches, but if some of you can answer in the chat, what do you think could take your teams in this virtual environment to continue to be high performing? What are you expecting of them? And if you're part of the team, what are you expecting of each other? I'm looking at the chat. Go
yes,
ahead.
we have self-discipline here.
Mm-hmm. Self-motivate.
Yes, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let's see, we've got organizational skills, empathy, positivity, discipline and attention to detail, definite understanding of tools being used, constant communication, self-driven, availability, focus on the task, time management, a desire to communicate with each other, availability to each other, motivation, open communication channels, use tools correctly, common courtesy. That's a good one. So these are some very, very good ones. You're all on the dot there. I think a lot of you have already been successfully working remotely with your team, so thank you for sharing. So definitely independent, self-motivated, and disciplined. Intercultural sensitivity. That's a good one too. Managing complexity and uncertainty, being proactive and cooperating, networking, competencies to use the tools, trustworthiness, openness, and honesty, and emotional intelligence. These are very, very important. So let's talk about some examples, some best practices when facilitating remote, either ad hoc meetings, ongoing meetings, agile ceremonies, or brainstorming sessions. Okay, one of the biggest complaints that we've heard is if you were in the office, just standard business as usual, a common pain point is we have way too many meetings. Okay, that's just in the office, business as usual. That's a lot of the pain points that we've always heard. Guess what? Now that we've gone remote, we're hearing from folks that meetings have doubled, that meetings have actually doubled. Okay, so what can you do differently? What can you do differently? This is a great opportunity, and we're doing this with some of our departments that we support. Take a look at your existing meetings. Have a brainstorming session as a team and say, hey guys, let's look at the existing meetings that we originally had. What was the purpose of these meetings? Okay. How productive were these meetings? Who was attending these meetings? Ask those questions and then identify which meetings are non-value added. This is from your existing meetings that now you're just rolling over to having them as conference calls remotely. Which meetings are not productive? Which meetings might have had the same information, the same people, and the same outcomes? Do that first. Look at your existing meetings, do a quick analysis of which ones can you get rid of that were non-value added, okay? And then either consolidate some meetings or get rid of some of the ones that are non-needed. That's a recommendation that we've been doing with some of the departments to some of the organizations that we have been supporting, okay? Then the question is, how about if we need like an immediate meeting? A lot of you, apart from your scheduled meetings, have like immediate meetings that you get called into. In Zoom and in Microsoft Teams, there's the option to open up a channel. If some of you use, how many of you use Microsoft Teams? How many of you use, anybody uses Microsoft Teams? Okay, I see a lot of yeses.
Yes,
so
yes,
in Microsoft Teams, a lot of us, you open up a channel. If the channel has a team of people, you can immediately call a channel meeting, and everybody in that channel will be called to a meeting immediately. Okay, so that's an option for ad hoc meetings. But here's the thing, leaders, facilitators, always make sure, especially in the situation that we're in right now, that you have an objective for your meeting, that you have an agenda for your meeting, whether it's ongoing or whether it's ad hoc. Make sure that when your people are coming together, that you're calling people together, that there's a purpose, an objective, and a very specific outcomes and action items at the end of your meetings. If you do not have any of that, then people should not be meeting. Let's just say that as a rule of thumb, as a working agreement. Okay, so try to minimize that. For agile ceremonies, okay, for how many of you are in agile teams? Let's see, how many of you are in agile teams? We've got Phyllis says yes, Brian. All right, so we've got our daily stand-ups. We've got our sprint planning meetings. We got our sprint reviews. It doesn't matter if we're remote, we should continue to be business as usual, right? Here's the thing, we still have to time box. You still have to ask the relevant questions. The inputs and the outputs of those agile ceremonies should not be changing. One of the things that we are recommending for agile teams is to add what we call collaboration time. How many of you have collaboration time? I see a yes, I see a no. So what is collaboration time? Even for teams that are in the office, agile teams that are in the office, collaboration time could be your after the daily stand-up session. Why? Because again, agile ceremonies, scrum masters, our master facilitators should be time boxed. If there's any conversation that needs to be tagged outside of your 15-minute daily stand-up, have a collaboration time right after, specific for parking lot items and tag conversations or impediments and issues that need to be resolved. We recommend for Scrum Masters, no matter what, to always have that collaboration time on the schedule. If you don't need to use it, you're good to go on that day, then you skip it. If it's only 2 people that have to discuss an issue, then those 2 people stay in collaboration time. Everybody else can go back to work on their items. Okay, that's a great recommendation. What we have been seeing now with everybody being 100% remote is that they schedule a collaboration time right after the daily stand-up, but they also schedule 1 more or 2 other collaboration times throughout midday or the end of the day. But Scrum Masters, most importantly, please remember to time box them. 15 minutes max, where your guys who usually were in the office face to face, sitting right next to each other, hey, how's your code going? Hey, do we need to pair? Hey, I'm having an issue, can you help me? They can come together during that time and talk about their issues. That's a great recommendation. For brainstorming sessions, the tools, the Jamboard, there's other tools that we're gonna show also in a slide that are very exciting and fun to use for brainstorming sessions for your retrospectives. You can still have those productively in a fun way of asking questions and getting people's answers to keep people engaged as well. So those don't go away. Any other questions on best practices to facilitating some of these type of meetings? Or is there another type of meeting that we missed that somebody would like to share? Leon, anything else in this section?
I think when you're thinking about ongoing meetings, try to make sure that everybody gets input. Sometimes people will just go on mute or not put their camera on, and it's really important to get everybody's input and check in with the team, because you might get that around the room if you were physically there, but you may be able to read body language, but you can't really do that when someone's on mute and no camera on.
Okay, I love it. I love it. That's a good one. I've personally been doing some online trainings, right? Zoom, thank goodness, has the capability that you can actually see everybody's box. And so for my online trainings, I've been asking folks to turn their cameras on. So those are some good suggestions. So you guys can do that for your meetings. So a working agreement. When, at least from the Agile perspective, but this is relevant to anybody who has a department and who has a team and who brings people together to get work done, make decisions, or have a conversation. When you're bringing people together, it's very important to have a working agreement. It could be people in your same department or people from other departments that you have to collaborate with on a daily basis. What's a working agreement? Hey, every time we have a meeting, you should review what's the working agreement between the participants. This is actually an exercise that everybody participates in and contributes to and comes up with a checklist. And then this checklist is something that, because you included them and everybody who's a participant gave you feedback on what's important to them as a participant, now this checklist has been blessed by everybody and it helps with accountability. It really, really does. If you give somebody a working agreement and they weren't part of it, they're not really gonna own it. Every time we do an exercise, we make sure that everybody provides feedback. That way there's more ownership on it, right? So here are some examples of some of the working agreements that we have in the office, but we've added a flavor of the virtual type of meetings working agreements. So join in a few minutes prior. That's very important. Mute your lines when not talking. And encourage everyone, video, very important, guys. You gotta be able to see each other, you know? When sharing a screen, close what you don't need right? We don't want any embarrassing situations. If anybody's out on the internet looking at other stuff, right? If you're recording. So as coaches, a lot of the time we support multiple teams and we can't be in 3 meetings at once. Guess what? Our Agile teams are now recording their sessions. So now it's easier for us to go back and look at a previously recorded session. We were not able to do that in the office. Have an agenda with meeting objectives. Again, if there's no agenda, if there's no objectives and no action items coming out of a meeting, then maybe you shouldn't be having that meeting. You should be questioning that, okay? Agree on a time box. And one of the main working agreements is, guys, when the time box is over, that's it. The meeting is over. You'll have to wait for the next one. Or if you have collaboration time, then you tag the conversations and you take them into collaboration time. Have a co-facilitator. That's very important. So we recommend that facilitators, team facilitators, always have somebody else to volunteer to take notes, right? To monitor the chat line, to monitor questions, or to do the technical support. That's very important. You guys don't have to be the Lone Rangers facilitating all by yourself. It's another way, like Leon was saying, to get people engaged. It's their meeting. Rotate who's going to be facilitating these meetings as well. That's another great tip. Add meeting notes for parking lot risk and impediments. Documenting things now and having a repository is very important. And then the whiteboard exercises, which are a lot of fun, and agree on documenting next steps. Any other, I got some notes here. Let's see. Share meeting goals prior to the meeting, love it. What when company removed recording function due to security concerns? Okay, we've got some folks, I guess, that got rid of recording. Let's see, what other working agreement tips and tricks have you guys used? Who wants to share? And I'm looking at the chat line. Let's see.
So what when company remove recording functions due to security concerns? Daniel Roth here.
Yeah, no, we understand that. We understand that. So I guess that's not an option. Some tools allow screen capture for future reference. Okay, that's very good. Share meeting goals prior to the meeting. That's a good one. Make 30 minutes for 25 minutes and 60 minutes meetings for 50 minutes. This allows time between meetings. I love that. And I actually had a remote lunch and learn yesterday and we talked about that. So that's a great advice. Turn your 1 hour meetings into 50 minutes and turn your 30 minutes into 25 minutes. That's a great, it alleviates having to go from one meeting to the next, because guess what? Some of us don't even have time to go to the bathroom at this point if you have meetings back to back. So that's a real good one. Allow a few minutes for chit chat at the end of the meeting if there's time. Very good. We were talking about this morning too. Good idea. Facilitators, these are all great facilitator skills. Respect the hard stop time. Very important. Very, very important. One of the great things that we've been doing is we've been scheduling remote happy hours, after 5 o'clock. Teams have been doing remote lunches where they actually sit there, they chat, they have music in the background, non-work-related topics. People can actually relax, just like if you were at the cafeteria. We've had people scheduling coffee time, cafecito time. I miss my cafecito time in the office. That's been one of the biggest hard points that I've been going through. But we had somebody actually do like a fun game session where they had just virtual games, and that's all they were doing for that 1 hour. And that was so much fun and it got people engaged. So take those tips with you as well. We love it. Look, I find it helpful to mention the person's name at the beginning of the statement or question rather than at the end. It helps them refocus on me and not on whatever else they're multitasking on. That way I don't have to repeat myself too often. I like that. Participants will lose motivation in minutes, usually seconds. We're doing optional cafecito time twice a week. for 15 to 30 minutes to talk about things that we learned. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, very, very good. So the video always, you know, it's hard. Not everybody likes to get on video, but that's one of the things that we recommend. Okay, so we're gonna ask the coaches. Let's see, Leon, what other tips do we have for facilitators, for co-facilitators, or for team members? What other tips do we have?
I think it's really important to have a good agenda going in, and to be able to say, okay, are we just sharing information? Are we trying to make a decision? Are we trying to gain consensus? So that everybody's clear about what's the purpose, what are we trying to do? So that's very clear, and set that at the start of the meeting, and then toward the end of the meeting, say, have we achieved those things?
Awesome. And then document any action items that you guys might have and have a place where that's shared with everybody. Love it. How about the co-facilitators? How many of you have co-facilitators? How many of you are asking for volunteers? Again, this motivates your team, it keeps people engaged, and it also keeps people awake. If I know I have to co-facilitate or I have to volunteer for something, I'm definitely going to be a lot more focused. Who's double facilitating with somebody else or engaging their team to do that?
I was going to say your admin is doing that now.
Ah, hey, Mark. I didn't know you were on the line. Mark, any other tips and tricks for facilitators, co-facilitators, or team members?
Oh, I don't know if we have that much time, but so I'll totally agree with you. It helps to get the rest of the group engaged, and I'll say part of that in my talk as well. But it's really getting all the voices in the room. So even when you don't have everyone on camera, doing something very simple like a one-word check-in from everyone, just so they speak. Because once everyone kind of gets that first word in, then they feel a little more comfortable breaking in on the audio and through the rest of the meeting.
Awesome. I'm going to do a quick time check here. How much time do we have, guys?
We have a couple more minutes. Literally.
So what's the end time?
10:40.
Okay, so we got 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Okay, recommended tools. Those of you that are attending the tool session, there's going to be a lot more to come on this. Video and audio, Zoom, WebEx, Cisco, MS Teams, Skype, chat lines, Slack, Telegram, WhatsApp, text messages, whiteboards, Jamboard, Miro, concept board, Mural. There's a lot more in the tool sessions that they'll be sharing. Document repositories, Google Drive, OneDrive, SharePoint, Amazon Cloud. Those are you that are using Jira. Confluence is also very, very good. We've got, okay, so current challenges. This is my challenge to all of you that are participating in this session. Find a way to communicate your current state. So how are you going to let others know if you're available or not? That's very important. That's one of everybody's biggest fear. I got to get a hold of something. How do I get a hold of them? If you have your tools open, if you have your tools on your phone, I'm getting Microsoft Teams calls on my phone, even if I'm in the kitchen grabbing a glass of water, right? That's very important. Allow for social time. You can still have happy hours. You can still have coffee time. That's very important. Guys, schedule your breaks. Put your breaks on your calendar. If not, you will be bombarded back to back with meetings. Block time for your breaks with your kids. Block time for your breaks to go for a walk, to exercise. Block time after 5 or 5:30 or 6 o'clock, whatever your end time is. Remember, you used to drive home from the office. That was a break time. So imagine you're driving home and block that time. This is so that we can continue to have that, you know, that whole mental time and that mental break that we all need.
Yeah, Regina, I want a plus 1,000 on that one.
Yeah. Hey, does that include when your team members schedule a meeting immediately after 5 to plan and prepare for a conference?
Oh my goodness. I don't know about that. You got to go talk to Rick about that one. But that one is on the calendar and that one is scheduled, Professor X. All right. I think we had measure outcomes, not outputs. Build rapport. Leaders, you have to care about your team members. Have one-on-ones with them just to see how people are doing. Somebody had said, start your meetings with a quick chat okay? Just to see how people are doing and ask that question. It's very important. Tips and tricks, manage expectations, stick to a routine, video calls, plan remote team non-work activities, have fun. I challenge all of you to have a fun exercise and schedule it and put that on the calendar and get rid of one of your other meetings. How about that? Make time for one-on-one feedback, retrospect. These retrospectives should be a lot more personal. How are we doing during this time? What can we do better? Ask your teams, what can you be doing better? Okay? And that's it. That is it. We want to hear from you. That's our challenge. We hope that you enjoyed this session. Thank you again, and we really appreciate your time. Any other last minute questions, please put them on the chat line. I think the coaches just finished their other sessions. How are we doing with time, my admins?
We are doing fine. Shit.
Well, see, we're remote. Everything
Hello?
goes.
That
Is
didn't
everybody-
sound right.
Is everybody coming
Sorry,
back to
Bradford.
the main room?
Yes. All right. All right.
No,
Okay.
no, she said shift. We're shifting rooms.
Yes.
Oh,
that's what
thank you, Leah.
Now we have to shift.
All right.
Yes.
Remember, that is our working agreement.
All right.
Yes.
Regina, go ahead and unshare your screen so I can start getting everybody ready for the next session.
Before you do that, or in concert with that, a lot of people asked how they would switch from the presentation to the person speaking. So there should be a little swap button on the upper part of your screen that allows you to switch, like from Rick to whatever he's presenting and then go back. So you keep hitting it, you go back and forth. The other thing was, a lot of people were saying, I want to leave and go to another session. So I think the most effective way to do that is to find the admin in the session you are and tell that person that you want to switch to go to another session.
I love it. Let's write that down so that everyone, as they join us, I don't know if are all the sessions already back to the main host? Is
Yeah.
everybody here?
Yeah, everybody here.
Okay, so I think those are great learnings, and maybe we can get some learnings with the rest of the group. So yes, there were some bumps in the road that we need to make sure we clarify. So I love what you said, the ability to switch so that you could see the speaker and the presentation. And also another learning for us was the making sure that we move everyone to a room. Some of us were a little bit, I guess, stayed on one of the rooms instead of being transferred. So the host, please do not go to a breakout session. Make sure you stay at the main session so that you're able to move those participants over. Good lessons learned, and we will get better, and this is all about continuous improvement. So thank you. Let's open up the slide again to make sure we understand the next session that's about to occur. I want to make sure anything in the Slack, in the chat channel that's monitored right now for any concerns, so that we can make sure we go to the second rooms a little bit smoother this time. Okay. Again, please, main host of the Zoom bridge, stay on the Zoom bridge so that you're able to move everyone over. Okay?
Got it.
Let me share my screen first. Make sure we have. Going back to my PowerPoint. And these are the next sessions. Again, time-wise, I guess we're actually hitting this timeline pretty interesting. But I don't want to rush the start. So the instructors are not going to start until we have the people in the room. So we're going to be patient, and we'll get that done. So just for clarification purposes, all you're doing is you're renaming you keep your name, but in front of your name, you're going to put room 1, means you're staying in this room. So you actually will not move. You'll stay in this room. And that's the one with Mark. Okay. Room 2, overcoming remote working challenges. Heidi and Leon are going to go to that room. And then the last one, of course, tools, is where we have Anderson and Art working with that. Am I correct on that? No, Anderson and Art, yes. So that's really the sessions that we're going to move you in. So at this time, if you have a number there, make sure you clear it out if you want a different room. So your job right now, again, it's a challenge, is to go in there, rename, and we're not going to move you yet. We first want to make sure everyone does that exercise. Go in there, change your name, and just in front of your name, just add a 1, space your name, a 2, space your name, or 3, space your name.
Please do not put the room number in the chat. Nobody will see it.
Yes, that's one of the ways, and we want to make sure that's done. So please, before we start moving them over, make sure everyone is putting that number. And I would like to move the coaches to the room first, so they can make sure that they greet the participants. So before we start, let's make sure how much, what's the percentage right now of people that have a specific number under their name?
Let's see. Ooh, a lot of people.
Okay.
All of them, I think. The other ones.
So I'm hoping that you guys had the opportunity. Again, there are 3 great sessions in front of us right now. Facilitators, make sure you're recording your sessions. Make sure you're, in the chat line, documenting whatever things that we need to do to get better. But I hope you enjoyed your first session. Congratulations on passing the first one. Now we need to make sure we move on to the second. Before I move on, is there, coaches, do I have any other questions that I need to ask before we move on?
Nope, just put a number in front of your name and not in the chat.
Correct. Okay. A number in front of your name.
Can we please repeat which number belongs to which group, please, so everyone can listen to that?
I'm sharing my screen right now, and you notice that I'm looking at this section right here, right? And just to be clear, if you were to put the number 1, you will actually stay in this session, which means you really won't be moved, and it will be pretty fast. And that's the one which is navigating change when rapidly remote. And that's Mark. Mark is going to be talking about that. That's Mark right here. Overcoming remote working challenges, that's number 2. Okay. So that's room number 2. Heidi and Leon. And room number 3, you got tooling along from home, getting it done. Alone from home, getting it done. Anderson.
That's it. It might be a good idea for me to get over to room 2 at some point.
I'm sorry, you want what?
I said it might, this is Leon. It might be a good idea for me to get to room 2 at some point.
Absolutely, absolutely. So right now, please, let's move the coaches over before we move anyone else. I need the coaches in the room. They got to clean up the room, clean up the wall. They got to do all those little maintenance things that they're going to do. Come on, coaches, get out there and let us know when you move the coaches to the room.
Let me see.
Okay, Marcelo, which room are you staying in?
Marcelo's going to be in 3.
No,
he's going to be in
2. I'm going to 2. I'm going to Heidi and Leon.
Okay, then leave me.
Unless you want me to go into Art and.
That's fine. Leave me in room 1. Then I'll stay with Mark.
Yeah.
I'll stay with Mark. Okay.
Put me wherever you're going to put.
All right.
Okay.
So team, leave me in room 1. I'll stay with Mark.
Okay. Right. Let's see.
Let us know, Jesus, when you got that done.
Give me a second. A lot of names. Looking. Okay.
Please be patient.
Please be patient.
Good time to go. Make sure you get a drink. Regina, I think, talked about getting up and moving the body. Tony Robbins says motion causes emotion. So if you're sitting down for too long of a period, you're not going to have that positive framework. So make sure, again, that you keep your body moving.
So, Leon, are you already assigned? Leon, will you move to the board?
So,
Leon?
What do you want me to do?
Click on breakout room button.
Yeah, click on the breakout bottom right there on the
There,
little squares. You've been
yeah,
assigned.
I don't have breakouts, so.
You don't see it on the bar below?
Nope.
Okay.
That's weird. Let me see.
All right. So
Heidi is there already in the breakout room 2 process. Leon.
can you have someone else there? Who else is helping Leon? So Heidi's already there, you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, Heidi there.
Yeah. And Anderson, is he over there?
Let's see, Anderson. What's Anderson name?
So
all right, that might take longer to get. Let's get everyone
Yeah,
moving forward.
yeah. Everyone can.
Yeah.
Everyone can join. The other participant can join their breakout room.
So the way they join, sometimes they'll get a message to join the room, right?
Not right now. Not right now. They're not receiving an invite. They have to go to the breakout room button.
Okay, so there's a button at the bottom of your screen. It's called breakout room, and you're going to be able to actually go ahead and go to that breakout room. So
they are like 4 little squares all together, and they say breakout room. Can you see it, guys?
No, well, at least for me, it's not at the bottom where it normally would be.
See it either.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dorothy.
Let's see. Everyone is assigned, okay?
Okay. So you should have a breakout. If you don't, we're going to work with you real quick for the people that don't. But the other people that do, please start going to the room, and then we'll do whatever's remaining. We're going to work with getting those people in the room. So please go ahead and get to the room, and let's make sure we have a count of how many people are in this room.
Okay, we're still moving people. It's going a bit slow, but we're moving people.
Yeah, they are moving. They are moving right now.
In a conference, you would have to walk. So this is your walking, okay? Pretend you're actually walking to that room, and you got people in the way, you're moving them aside. You got a line waiting to actually sit down, so you're waiting. And then hopefully you'll get into that room, and if it doesn't get booked, because there might be too many people in that room, right? So imagine yourself actually going to a physical conference. It looks like you're doing pretty good. I see 55, so I'm assuming there's a lot of people being moved over.
Yeah.
Correct. It just takes a little bit of time, but we're doing it. For those who are not seeing the breakout room button, please wait to be assigned. It's taking a bit more of time, but we're gonna get there. I promise.
Can you show us the picture of what the breakout room button looks like? So that
Of
people
course.
can see it.
Okay.
Leon, you're assigned.
Okay, finally got the button.
Okay, Rick, if you go to slide number 17 on the remote conference host slides, you will see a little button there that says breakout rooms. Or more easily on slide 14, let me share that with you.
You need me to stop sharing? That's okay.
Yes, just for a little bit so I can show you. Okay, everyone, I am going to share my screen just to help you out a little bit, okay? So here is, can you see this?
It's loading. Okay, we can see it now.
Yes, okay, so there, when you see the 4 little squares, that is the breakout room. If you click on there, you will be able to go where you were assigned.
Awesome. Okay. So how are we doing so far? How many look like they're moved over?
Yeah, people are joining the breakout rooms. Okay.
So if you can't see it yet, maybe it's because you haven't been assigned yet, but we're working on that. I'm so sorry for the delay. We're gonna get there.
And this may not be the breakout room you're looking for.
Yes.
Oh my.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again. I'm gonna show you the breakout room button is right here on the first green arrow. Can you see it? Right next to reactions.
Okay, I think it's ready. Anyone is missing?
Please share on the chat if you haven't been assigned or if you cannot see the breakout rooms button yet.
Yes, what I discovered was the breakout room appears after you've been assigned.
Correct.
Yes. If you haven't been assigned, you might not be able to see the breakout room yet, but we're on it. We're on it. If you haven't been assigned, you cannot see the breakout rooms, please share it on the chat. We're gonna help you.
Yeah, or if you were in this room for the first session, you probably won't see the breakout room because you didn't actually go to a breakout room yet.
Yes, correct. So if you want to change to another room, you can say, so I want to change to another room, please assign me to the next room. Thank you, Mark.
Okay. So percentage-wise, I'm just interested as that can still work through the chat line as the presentation starts, or do we want to pause a little bit more? I'm just curious how many have moved over so that we can get going.
Missing.
Okay, how are we doing with time?
It is 10:58 right now.
Neilu, what was the start time?
Our start time was 7 minutes ago, but
So I think we're ready to go.
yes,
So
we're ready to go.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mark.
I will do that. Share my screen. So hopefully you are seeing my slides.
Yes, we're seeing your slides.
Excellent. Okay. So, as has been said earlier, we are living in interesting times. So, hopefully in this session, you'll get some ideas on both personally as well as with your team, how to navigate some of the changes that you're dealing with right now. A little bit about my background. I have been around for quite a while. I've got my own collection of gray hairs here, so to prove that. Actually started with Agile teams in 2001, so my history goes far beyond this chart, but that's not that interesting. So on my professional side, which you see on the left side, I ended up working in places that you really shouldn't use Agile. So I was working with the US military, for instance, at a time where nobody said it would work there. It worked just fine. For some reason, soldiers understand, inspect, and adapt. It's weird, you know. They seem to get that. Then working for a couple different consultancies, I worked across many different industries over several years, being one of those coaches, kind of like Regina in the last session, where we get dropped into different companies and help them from team level on up to become more agile. Then in 2014 was when I joined a company called Sonatype as their internal coach. And what was interesting about Sonatype is they were completely dispersed. So everyone worked out of their homes. When I started, I was around employee 50. When I departed, they were about 250. So we had many teams spread all the way from India to Alaska in that case. And now I have my own company, K5 Labs, where I consult with other companies on how they can be more sustainable as a remote company. But the other interesting thing was I started at Agile Orlando. I worked with Rick and other leaders across the state of Florida to start this group called Agile Florida. I've helped with many conferences. I actually run an initiative for the Agile Alliance. All of these were remote teams. And the experience I took from the volunteer side, I brought to my work side. And from the work side, I used that same experience in volunteering. And just last year took all that and published a book about that experience. So that's what Marcelo was waving around earlier, if you couldn't see with his green screen there. Where you see the little computers, that's where I actually started working with distributed agile teams. Again, places you're not supposed to use agile, I got stuck with those situations. And we're able to find some ways where they could not only survive, but actually thrive. So I've worked with many distributed teams that I would put up against a co-located team any day. So kind of like what Jay was saying in his keynote, that it's, you can sometimes be amazed if people put a more optimistic viewpoint toward the situation, what they can achieve in a very different environment. Now, normally, this is the point where I'd ask about all of you, but we've kind of done some of the icebreakers throughout this, the different sessions, but I happen to know that many of you are Floridians. So I'm also a native Floridian, and I just want to say, we have all been through a lot. If you have been through one hurricane, or maybe many more, like some of us, you know how to get through a tough situation. We are going to get through this, and hopefully this presentation will give you some more ideas around that. So I do have some topics to hit. I'm going to go a little quickly because we are starting a little bit late, but I do want you to ask questions in chat. So if you do have questions, go ahead and toss them out there. Regina, if you could kind of keep an eye on that and flag me down, or just shout out if you see something. Also, this is a family and pet friendly presentation. So I work with many teams. I do not get bothered by them popping in at all. And that's also why I put on my Jedi robe. Sometimes, you never know what you're going to see in video. So keep the video on if you can. All right. But again, as we've said before, because we have so many people here, it helps if you mute if you're not talking. All right. So here's our path that I hope to take us through. So I want to talk a little bit about what is a mind shift, because this is what we experience with a change, and we're dealing with many different changes right now. I want to talk about the 3 disciplines for leading distributed agile teams. And then lastly, how you can experiment to explore some of these mind shifts and how they can work for you. So let's talk about what is a mind shift. So one of my first experiences, I will say serious experiences with a mind shift, was when I took a vacation in the UK with my wife. One day, we had a lovely day. We hit many sites, and we were both a little tired, and we got back on the road, and it kind of looked like this. You might notice the problem with this picture. So what is the problem with this picture? If I'm in the UK.
It looks like you don't have great weather. I don't know.
You're on the wrong side of the road?
I'm on the wrong side of the road. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So because I was tired, I just kind of followed my best practice of, I'm just going to get on the right side of the road. And that's where it really struck home for me that best practices only work in certain contexts. And if you're not careful, they can cause harm. And sometimes more than you realize. I had similar kinds of experiences. Oh, bless you. I had similar kinds of experiences in people trying to do the exact same things co-located that they would do remote. Sometimes it did incredible harm. If you deal with teams that are across multiple time zones, you might have experienced the 3 a.m. meeting. Hopefully you haven't, but I have. Those, even over a short term, can wear you down and wear your colleagues down. But here's another possible mind shift. And this is this idea of time zones and how they may or may not get in our way. So this is an example of an actual team. This was one of my co-authors' teams, Johanna, that she dealt with. You can see that they have roughly 11 hours difference, and they were one team. They could rarely, if ever, be on the same meeting. But what I found is it's not so much the time zones, It's really how they adjust their hours to overlap. So you see an example here of this team of about 7 people. And just to give you a little context, Dave is in a management role, so he gets pulled away for some other programmatic meetings and things like that. So he's not always available to the team. Polly is the product owner, and Polly kind of blocks out a period of her day where she's mostly dealing with customers. She's on the phone or maybe on a Zoom call like this with customers. And the rest of the team, as you can see, comes in at different times of the day based on their preference. Some might have kids, some might like to take short lunches, longer lunches. And so you see them kind of spread out different times of the day. This results in this team really only having 3 hours a day where they can all get together, as you can see by the 100% availability of everyone. There's other times where they can work together. So maybe they want to pair on something or review together and they get part of the team together, but really only 3 hours. And you'll notice they're all Eastern time zone. They're all in the same time zone. So it's not like they're widely dispersed. They're just in different cities in the same time zone. Today, with all of us working out of home, this could be a very different scenario. It could be Dave and Polly have kids, and now they get the joy of not only working from home with their new home coworkers, but those home coworkers have different work. It's called homeschooling. And so now you have to deal with those situations, or maybe you have a sick family member or a sick friend that happens to be with you. You get taken away from the team time in that case. And it's difficult for the individual as well as the team. But what if the team had a conversation around, can we shift our times a little bit? Can we increase our hours of overlap just by making some simple changes? So here you see that Dave kind of spreads some of his programmatic meetings toward the end of the day. He was able to get a couple of his teammates to sit in on some other meetings. You see that Polly spread out her customer calls here on the bottom, and this has now allowed 4 hours of overlap for this distributed team. This is what we see as a minimum for a successful collaboration on distributed teams. So they've at least hit that minimum. This means they now have plenty of time for planning, reviews, retrospectives, stand-ups. Those are a little easier to schedule for them now. So 2 kind of key mind shifts here is to allow the team to set their hours and not focus on office hours. One of the things I'm seeing right now is many organizations are still trying to keep a 9 to 5 setting, even though everyone's working from home and has these home coworkers or other situations to deal with. And it's too difficult for some folks. So if you let the team kind of adjust their hours so they can still collaborate, that makes them actually more collaborative. So giving teams a choice in how they make those adjustments is key. So let's talk about these 3 disciplines. So from our book, we talked about manage for change through experiments, amplifying communication and collaboration. And Regina touched a little bit on this in her talk as well, if you were in her session, and focus on principles over practices. And I've already hinted at that, but I'm going to say more. So let's talk about managing change through experiments. So let's say we have a team that's working well over time. This is kind of their average performance, and then a change is introduced. And that change can take many, many forms. It could be a new process, a new team member, a new leader. We're all dealing with new tools right now. Maybe an urgent request pops in. There could be any number of things that pop in. I think with the current scenario, we could say there's probably several changes happening at once for us. The key issue is, what is the perception around that change? So sometimes when the change is initiated by us or somebody in the organization, it's assumed that it's going to be positive. So this actually happens often in agile transformation. We're going to be agile and it's going to be beautiful. And immediately the expectation is everything's going to be better right away. However, when it's an external change, say something that the team had no input in, then you start to see performance kind of drop down over time. So I have a question for you, and I'd like you to answer this in chat. So I want you to give me a 1, 2, 3, or 4. For what you and your team are dealing with now, was the change you're primarily dealing with initiated by somebody in your organization? Was it imposed by outside forces? Was it both? Or was it caused by something else? Okay, I'm seeing some boths.
Yeah, both 2, 3, both
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of 2s, a lot of 3s, a couple of
A 4,
4s,
yeah.
a 1. Threes, a lot of 3s.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you for that. I see a few more coming in. Thank you, Iron Man. Cool.
Thank you, Gator Girl.
All right. Cool. So when I've done a similar kind of exercise with a team that's new to remote, I'll get a wide range of answers there as well, because we all have a different perception of the change. Maybe our company and our team was well prepared for the change. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe some of us have been forced out of not only the office, but forced out of our positions. It's a difficult time for all. So we have to be empathetic as we look at the scenarios that we're all dealing with, especially when you look at how people are reacting to the change. So what really happens, say, under the right conditions, is everyone wrestles with the change a little bit. Some can work through this faster than others. Some it takes longer. And really this model is based on a group or a team. So sometimes the team performance dips down a little bit, or like Jay said in his talk, that they actually kind of got through it very quickly and got to a better position. So just because one person or one team is doing better than you or your team, that's okay. This will happen. And this is why. When you smooth out that curve, what happens is the change that's introduced is challenging our assumptions. And our first reaction is to resist that. So we try to keep things the way they are. We try to hold the status quo because that's what we're used to doing. That's where we feel the most productive. And some of us will figure out that, you know what, those assumptions aren't working anymore, and we're unlearning a little bit. However, things get a little bit worse before they get better. And so the performance drops down, possibly very low, until somebody has a transforming idea and says, now I see how we can make a change and make this new situation work. And they integrate that into their learning. And this new status quo might be significantly better. It might get the team back to where they were, or it might be a little bit below where they were. Right now, for what I've seen with many of the, what I call the rapidly remote teams, they're kind of a little bit below. Most people, after a few weeks, they figured out some way of working. It's still not great for them. And it depends on a lot of factors. But I did say under the right conditions. So hold that thought, because I'm going to tap into that at the very end of the presentation when we talk more about experimentation. So I want to check real quick. Any questions so far? All right, I'm not seeing any. All right.
No questions on the chat so far.
All right, let me press on. So let's talk about amplifying communication and collaboration. So I sat in on Regina's talk, and she was talking quite a bit about this. I like to say that when you're remote, everything gets amplified, but not what you think. So if you have people that are quiet in your co-located meeting, guess what? They're probably going to be more quiet online. So you have to look at how do you turn up the collaboration to 11, as they say. How do you really give many opportunities for people to collaborate? Because many of us think working remote is this. We're just going to stay focused, do our thing, and not have to talk to anybody. But this is what really happens. Even though many of us are working from home right now, we probably have an affinity to those in our location or who we work closest with. So that's why there's this solid circle around this group here. But maybe you had coworkers that do work in other locations, but you weren't as connected with them. You didn't see them as often. So the outer circle here shows a little lower affinity with those more remote people. Well, now we're all remote, so we have a little bit more of a balance. But what happens with these folks that are a little bit more disconnected or more remote, they're left out of many conversations. They're left out of many decisions, and not intentionally. It's just because we are used to reacting to people who are around us. That has thousands of years of our background there. So what we need to try to do as coaches, scrum masters, product owners, even team members, is look at how do we weaken this location-based affinity and strengthen this whole team affinity. Because right now, we actually have the best chance of doing that because we are all remote. So in this all remote, or what we call in the book, the nebula team, because we're all spaced out, man. So that's the nebula team. We have an even type of communication. So no, it's not as strong as being in an office, but we have a more balanced communication instead of having some people in the office and some out of the office. So this is really our best opportunity. And what I was hearing in Jay's story from my experience is they are optimizing that. They are taking huge advantage of that right now.
Yeah, and Mark, if I can add, if you go back to the previous slide, so that has been a very good example that we have found. We had a lot of offshore resources in India, and they were originally not able to participate in the ongoing meetings in the office. So now it has shifted. Now the local teams have changed the start and end time of their meetings to adjust now, because they're able to a little better than when they were in the office, because they're actually starting a little earlier because they don't have to drive to the office, and the Indian folks are actually participating in the meetings. So here's the thing, as a coach, I've sat in those meetings, and now I see a more unified team. They're actually, since everybody's on video, we actually get to see these people now, when before they were on a phone in the middle of their co-location, just listening to their voices, and they didn't participate much. Now they're participating, and the feedback we're getting is like they now feel like they're part of the team when before they didn't. That's been a huge change. It's been a huge change.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, because you're giving me a great segue to the next slide. So,
okay.
Yeah. So that's one way to build that affiliation, is how do you build those personal bonds? So I'm actually going to start at the bottom because Regina gave that example. So when we were able to be in our offices, we would have some folks that are remote, but one thing that is extremely powerful and will save you probably tens of thousands of dollars is going to visit those remote people, because you get to get a better sense of who they are, connect with them, understand what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, and you will save more money in lost communication time by buying a plane ticket and going there. At Sonatype, we did this every sometimes 3 to 5 months, where our data research team would fly out to India, or some of the Indians would come and visit us for some of our big events. And we would not only have them in meetings, but we'd go out to dinner with them. We go out to connect with them and find out who they are. And so then when we asked for something that was a little bit beyond what they're used to, they would understand because of our background, and we would understand when they would push back on that. And yes, Indians will push back when they feel comfortable. Okay, so I will say there's a lot of sad stereotypes that we tend to lean on around remote work. I found that if you make those connections, it's extremely powerful. Even now, when we can't go visit, find ways to connect with your your more distant, more time zone spaced colleagues. I had one coach friend of mine who would sometimes mix into retrospectives as an icebreaker, bring an example of your favorite meal. And he had different cultures involved. And so they would spend sometimes the first 15, 20 minutes just even describing why was this meal important to you. And they would build some of those connections that way. Okay. But some other things is, and we kind of talked about this already, but knowing that whole person. Do they have kids? And are their kids healthy? Are their kids in sports? Because as remote team members, we can't always see when somebody has to leave the office because maybe they have to pick up a child from school or something like that. But with my remote teams, they would very, very easily share with each other in their team chat. I've got to step out. I will be back at X time. So they would set a time box around when they'd be away. And if they were leaving a little bit outside the normal hours of overlap, they would say, and I'll make up this time later. So if anybody's around, I might need help with X, Y, or Z. But also getting to know what they want to learn as a team member and looking for opportunities is really where that whole person comes in. Regina actually talked about the other one, the buddy system and the co-pilots. I call them a little bit different because I found that this system works beyond meetings. So in the buddy system, when you have a mix of people in different locations, you might have some, if you were back in an office, you might have some in the room with you to connect with the more remote people because they don't have the same opportunities to signal when they want to break in on a conversation. Or if you're doing some kind of physical exercise with sticky notes and maybe you don't have like a jam board or something available, and you're just doing physical things on a wall, how can the buddy help that person participate? In this situation we have now, the buddy system can be used differently. We might have team members that picked up some of the new technology very quickly, but who can they help as part of that? So rather than always relying on IT, which is probably heavily overloaded in every company right now, who on the team can help out, or maybe on another team help out. The co-pilot is the co-facilitator, but again, their boundaries kind of go outside the meeting. So they will help in facilitating the meeting, but if they work with different subgroups or subteams, if you have a larger team, that co-pilot can also give a sense of how is everyone in this location doing right now? How should we do something different for the retrospective, for instance? So a co-pilot not only co-facilitates, but also co-plans and works with the main facilitator to even reflect afterwards and say, this is kind of what I was getting out of the meeting. Some people are really distracted right now with everything that's going on around the current situation. We might want to think about reducing some of our meetings, or maybe find a different way for people to provide feedback, or offer some one-on-ones so that people have a way to connect with each other and just get things off their chest in a way. And the last one here is having a dedicated team back channel. Now, most teams, whether they're using Microsoft Teams or Slack or something else, will have a team channel, but do they use it for everything? So for instance, in a meeting like this, where we have Zoom and we have our Zoom chat channel, what happens to that chat when this meeting shuts down? And you can answer in the chat there, or feel free to shout it out. So what happens to this chat when the meeting's gone? Nope, it does not stay there. Okay, right. So the chat doesn't go away. Yeah, sorry about the glare on my glasses. I have to work on that. So it can be shared via email, but what I often find is most people forget that the chat is logged, and sometimes they don't even know where to find it once the tool shuts down. What I encourage my teams to do is if they already have an existing team chat channel, that they don't use the meeting chat, they use that for their meeting. Because what happens in planning, in reviews and retrospectives, questions, information gets shared. And sometimes it's information you want to capture somewhere. If it's already in the team's chat channel, it's already searchable by them. There's no extra steps that have to be taken. It's already there for them to reference later. So having that dedicated channel always available to the team is super important. If your meeting tool goes down, they can use that same back channel to coordinate, hey, let's slip over to here. My distributed teams could jump to a new meeting tool in usually 30 seconds. You can't find a new conference room that fast anywhere you go. So, all right, and we already talked about hours of overlap. So let me press on because I think we're getting short on time here. So let's talk about focus on principles over practices. So you're probably familiar with some of the values and principles on the top side of this slide. So we have the values from the Agile Manifesto, or the Scrum values, or the Extreme Programming values, or Lean Software principles. Or if you're familiar with SAFe, there's values and principles around the SAFe framework. And from those values and principles, over the years, different practices have emerged from that. But they're not really directly attached to those frameworks. These are, in many cases, just assumed to be a good practice for those particular frameworks. What Johanna and I found as we looked across different distributed teams is there are also some key principles. Now, having the acceptable hours of overlap, at least 4 hours in many cases, is what we find. And the rest of these really are good practices for any Agile team. So I won't dive into each of these in the interest of time, but I do want to tell you a story. So one of my distributed teams was, they were a Kanban team. They were fairly efficient, and they integrated not only many products within the company, but many in partner ecosystems. So there was probably 40 to 50 different types of software that they would integrate into the main platform. So what they realized is the Kanban was working okay. They would have lots of little things to discuss in the retrospective, and they weren't always remembering it. And sometimes the changes were not happening fast enough. So they realized that they needed a different rhythm around their changes. So here's what they did. They actually created a new chat channel just for them that was called their Kaizen channel. And this is where they put in their small improvements. And sometimes they would talk a little bit in chat about that, but they really saved it for once a week where they would talk through that list. And any conversation where they couldn't come up with a quick idea, or they couldn't seem to get through the conversation in about 10 minutes, they would say, okay, this one we killed for the retrospective. It's seeming much bigger. They actually combined this after one of their stand-ups. So they would block out 30 minutes for their stand-up time, but only 5 to 10 minutes would be the actual stand-up. The other 20 to 25 would be for their Kaizen time, where they would go through this list, and they would rarely hit that time box. But that was their time to go through their list, sort through it, see if there were some quick changes they could make, and anything big would go into their retrospective, which they would do less frequently now because they were making all these little changes, all these little experiments. They ended up handling the 50 plus integrations brilliantly with that approach. And we lost track of how many changes they would make, but they didn't because it was all in their chat. And so they had that all cataloged in their chat. All right, so let's talk about how we can experiment to explore these mind shifts. So as I mentioned before you hit that transforming idea, this is where things can seem very chaotic. And if it's a big change, we might see our performance or the team's performance drop to a point where it may or may not be recoverable, or it might take longer to recover. I've seen this with some agile transformations. I've certainly seen this with some teams in having to deal with COVID and not having really time to prepare. And so you might think, okay, what if we did some early prep and spread it out? Well, you've got to be careful how quickly you introduce the changes. Because if you introduce the changes too quickly, then they never get past that resistance phase. They never let go of the assumptions. And that's where it just seems like things are getting worse and worse and worse. On a personal note, it's also why it's important to step away from your computer every once in a while and give your brain a chance. I'm hearing somebody's phone. Give yourself a chance to process a little bit of what's the latest change you're dealing with, because I'm sure all of us right now are dealing with several changes at once. Working at home, worried about COVID, worried about how we're going to get our next roll of toilet paper, things like that. So what are these right conditions? So it's giving ourselves that time to experiment, that time to come up with an idea or hypothesis, set a time box around that for the experiment, figure out what it is that we want to pay attention to. And this time period, I would say anything longer than a week is probably too long of an experiment right now because things are just changing so fast. In normal conditions, you might go 2 weeks or a month with some changes that you want to implement on purpose. But you have to measure those results and make sure you give yourself some time, either in a retrospective or it might be in a larger venue if it impacts multiple teams, on what is the data telling you? And is the hypothesis correct? Is it false? And do we want to set a new hypothesis around that? Some teams will make that a little more formal, and they'll use something like this document, which is referred to as A3 format, which comes out of Toyota Production System. This particular one is Creative Commons, so you can get it at agendashift.com. Down there, you can see the link at the bottom, and we'll share that later. I'm sure you'll get the slides later to get that. But what I like about this one is it clearly lets you state the hypothesis. What are some of the risks around the experiment? Who is impacted or not impacted? But this is who's directly impacted, but also what stakeholders, because you might want to reach out to them. What are some of the assumptions and dependencies we have? What is the experiment? Or you might have a few experiments around this hypothesis, and who's going to pay attention to them? Who's going to own them? And then once you take that time to think about it and reflect on it, what did we learn? So this can be a document in, it could be a shared document, Microsoft document, it could be a shared Google Doc, it could be on a wiki, wherever it is. But the point is, keeping it to one page keeps it very simple and is really a conversation tool. And as you're first kind of thinking, what is it we need to try to experiment with to navigate this change, make sure you include your team members. So experiment with them, not on them. Because I can tell you, teams don't like to be lab rats. So do not just impose an experiment upon them. All right, so we've talked about what is a mind shift. We've talked about the 3 disciplines of leading a distributed team, and we've talked about experimenting to explore those mind shifts. One thing I wanted to point out, and I actually pulled this together while Jay was talking, is it's really to keep in mind that this is all an eco-cycle. So things ebb and flow, things come back, and there's periods where we can be optimistic, there's periods where we can be pragmatic, and then there's times where we may not be so optimistic. We might say, this is not good, we don't have enough to do what we need to do, or we've got too many policies and regulations, so we feel like things are too rigid to move forward right now. But even in the midst of some of the chaos, there is an opportunity for some creative destruction right now. So think about what you might even let go of in this time period to help you navigate that J curve. And before anybody asks the question, because I always get asked, what are my favorite tools since I've been working online for so long? Right now, these are my 3 favorite tools. Working online, you should have patience, empathy, and you should practice listening, because those are the most important tools. They're going to help your team work well right now. And I just saw a thumbs up from Regina. Yes, I thought you'd like that. All right, so these are some ways to get a hold of me. We've actually, Johanna and I actually have some online classes if you're interested, but email's there. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, and I try to give enough space so we have some time for questions, hopefully. So any questions?
That's a problem when you do such a good job that there's no questions, you know. I do, one of the things you said about working with people and experimenting, it's interesting when I coach executives, I think one of my biggest flaws one time was, hey, I'm going to help change you. What? No, unacceptable. I'm going to partner with you on our journey. That's the way you actually make some progress. Soon as you think you're such a great coach that you're able to change people, that's who you are, you're barking off the wrong street.
Yeah, that's why you want to experiment with and not on them.
Exactly, exactly.
I loved your recommendations on the different time zones and finding that commonality of availability. That was really good because I think a lot of us struggle with that.
Yeah. And somebody asked about a sample. There's actually, if you go on the resources section of my website, you can see blank one. Should be one in PDF format and one in Google Doc format.
It's a great example. How do you make sure that people will buy in for the change? I think you touched on that.
Yeah, well, the first thing I talk about is this actual curve, and say, you know, for depending on what type of change it is. So if it's a change that maybe the team doesn't see, but maybe the coach sees or somebody outside the team sees it, I talk about, you know, change in general, and keeping in mind that there's some things that might challenge our assumptions and our ways of working. But even before that, especially if I know a few here are consultant coaches, if you're entering as a consultant coach, it's really about understanding their context. So kind of like what Rick was saying with the executives, it's not, hey, I'm going to change you. It's, let me understand your problem. Let me understand what you're facing. So quick story there. One remote team I work with, very good team, super quiet and very good about being siloed and just grabbing their own stuff and working. And when I met with them, I usually do one-on-ones with each team member just to connect with them. And they were all pretty quiet folks. But I asked them this question: what is one thing that you wish was changed? And in that particular group, they said, our meetings are too long. I said, okay, that's easy enough to fix. And so I was asked to facilitate all their meetings, and I aggressively facilitated so that we always ended up with 10 to 15 minutes extra. And I apologized at the end of every meeting saying, I am sorry you have extra time left in your day. And they knew that I heard them. And after that, they came to me with some other things. Well, you know, you did fix the meeting problem. What about this? And I slowly started building some confidence by asking them, what is it they needed changed?
I think what I would add to that is sometimes they'll tell you, hey, there's a meeting issue, but until you dive deeper into it, you could find out that they're just running the meetings inefficient, right?
Yeah.
they're being invited when they don't really need to be there. There's just so many other things that are aligned, but that one-on-one contact, that one-on-one conversation really leads into understanding them better. So great example. All right. Time-wise, I know that we have the other group that should be joining us soon. I don't know if they've transferred over, but
Yes.
Mark,
The breakout rooms are getting closer right now. Getting closed
all
up.
right.
Sorry.
Great job, Mark. Thank you very much. Everybody, this is our applaud, wave, and everything. All right, awesome. As we're joining the rest of the group, I'm going to go ahead
and as Christian said, sometimes it's also a people issue. Christian, I would say it's always a people issue.
There you go. I love it. All right, so
thank you,
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, guys. Want to make sure. I don't know, Mark, if you could stop sharing yours, I think
I can do that.
I could probably overwrite yours, but okay. All right, I see some happy faces out there. I see a lot of people. Great. Where's my sharing?
Rick, I really don't like the coffee at this conference.
Yeah, it's not that great. What's going on with the coffee?
So can we get better coffee next time?
I would add that as one of the things we need to get better at. Coffee for sure is one of them.
Okay,
all right.
Thank you.
So again, thank you very much for attending our event. We really want to finalize that with several key areas before we leave. I think there's a raffle that Regina is going to offer us, so that's pretty exciting. But I want to do one more activity, and it's not about changing superhero or anything like that. It's about actually sharing your screen, and what I mean by that is your video. And I'm going to challenge you a little bit here, because what I want to do is I want to actually take a group picture. I want to take a group picture. So to take a group picture, I need to actually have the videos on, and I'm going to do it in Galaxy or Gallery View. So what this does, I'm able to see 46 of you all in one screen, or maybe even more than 46, all in one screen. And I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of you guys. But we keep talking about uniting, right? This whole idea that we're all in quarantine, we can't actually, get close to each other. What in the world can we do to actually unite us? So this is a test here. What I would love to do is for you guys to actually have your hands like this, okay? So the idea behind this, no, not like this, because the idea is, the idea is that we're all going to be holding hands, right? We're all going to be holding hands. Maybe not up here like this. This might be the U or whatever, but actually on the side like this, okay? When I take a picture, I'm going to snapshot everything together so it looks like we're all holding hands. We're all holding hands. So I'm going to have to take several pictures. So again, I'm going to challenge you guys. Some of us are standing up, which is great. We're moving around, shaking around. Make sure your hair looks good. This is important. I got my nice little camera here that I'm going to take a picture of you guys. And it's going to be two pictures because I got two frames or several frames. So I'm going to move down the frame, and then I'm going to move to several. So everybody ready to smile? Again, you don't know which frame I'm doing, so you're going to have to smile for a little while. You have to keep that smile going, okay? Wow, this is humongous. A lot of people online. So I'm going to take my first picture of the first 46. And again, you don't know if you're the first 46. Keep smiling because I'm going to take a picture of the next 46. Okay, wow. Looking good, guys. Looking good. I'm going to take a picture of the next four. Some of them just snuck in there. I'm going to have to take another picture. You just stuck in there. Not good. Smile.
It's good exercise. It's good exercise.
So I'm going to take another of the next group. Some of you guys are not on video yet. Not good. There's a picture. Another picture. And that was it. So I went all the way across. And now I got to unite them. Great job. Great activity. Woo! Okay. So Regina, I'm going to need you to raffle out those tickets. So before we leave, again, thank you very much for joining us. I know that we did have a couple of challenges. and it is continuous improvement. We're all doing this for free. We're giving back to the community and uniting together for very strong cause, right? We want to get better at this. This is not going to go away. We need to actually master this, okay? We need to figure it out. Our work depends on it. You know, some of us are out of a job. We need to look for additional opportunities. This is an area that is going to happen. We do have to get better at it. And me as an Agile coach, I've always been preaching, we all have to be face-to-face. We all have to and that is true. But now faced with this, what do? Do we challenge it and resolve it, or do we just give up? Okay, I don't think that's gonna happen, right? We're gonna make it happen. So great job today, guys. Great job, coaches. You guys did an amazing job taking care of the rooms. I'm gonna give some last minute words for each of the coaches. So Marcelo, say something there, sir.
Thanks everybody for coming. I'm sure that some of you guys had some private conversations with each other, established some new connections, made some new friends, reconnected with old friends. Leverage them. Don't lose touch. Remember this time. That's what we've got.
Love it. Art?
Oh man, it's just been a pleasure. It was I'll tell you what, it was a great experience working together and coming together to put this thing together so that we could bring it to you all. And I really appreciate you all joining, and thanks, makes the effort worthwhile.
Leon?
So I would say physical distance doesn't mean social distance. So keep connections with your family and friends and coworkers. Keep that connection going.
Awesome. Heidi?
Hi, I'm just going to say thank you for all the efforts. It was super engaging. I loved the activities that you had, and maybe we can use some of those in our future virtual meetings. And I just want to ask each of you as you leave today, think about what you love about this time, even though it's very, very challenging. What might you miss when we go back to, quote unquote, the new normal?
Awesome. Anderson?
Hey, yeah, thank you, everybody. It was very exciting. It was very interesting to see that there was a lot of participation. I'm very happy, and I hope that you guys know a little better how we can go through this time. Thank you for joining us.
Ray.
I hope you met a new person today you didn't know before, that you expanded your network.
Awesome. Mark.
May you all live long and prosper.
There you go. I love it. I love it. I love it. A Trekkie. I'm a Trekkie. Just we're here to help you. Please reach out to us if you guys have any questions. You got all the coaches' names. Look us up on LinkedIn. I think you've got some of our emails. We're here to support you throughout this time. Anything you guys need.
Okay. So we're doing this on a weekly basis with the PMI and the South Florida Agile Association. This does not stop here. We have a community of constantly helping each other out. What's the cost, Marcelo?
Free, as in beer.
Free. So this is a free event that we give back to the community. Okay, so this is, our community keeps growing. Regina, I think we're going to kick it off with the final survey, the final raffle. And we're going to go ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick, I have a tool here. It's going to be anonymous, and I'm just going to pick a name from the group. Okay. So does everyone need a class? If they do not want a class, I'm going to actually tell you to thank you very much for your time. Please put your comments on the channel. It's important for us. We believe on continuous improvement. We know everything didn't go well. Yes.
We have the winners already.
You have them. You got them.
Yeah.
Great job. Okay. So please make sure you send some retrospective items for ourselves so that we can learn. And the winner is?
The winners. Let's see. Patricia Casas and Aaron Whittemer. Are you guys online?
Yes, are you guys online?
If they don't respond in the next few seconds, it goes to somebody else.
Okay, Patricia Casas is online, and
don't
Aaron
hear-
is
I do not
here.
hear her. I do not hear her.
Both online.
I can't
Yeah,
hear.
she said yes. She said yes in the chat. Both of them.
If you can
Both of
unmute
them.
yourself.
That was
Rick,
too
don't
quick.
give it away, Rick. Don't give it away. They have it.
That was too quick. I wanted somebody else. All right.
No.
Okay.
We got to be careful with Rick because if you left it to him, he'd give away the whole shop.
Oh my goodness. So here are some of our upcoming courses, but for the rest of you, please write down the following 20% discount codes: SFAA 2020, SFPMI 2020. I think we have a deadline for those codes, but if you're interested in any of the Agile Scrum Basics or SAFe Scaling Agile courses, please sign up for these. I think there's some Kanban classes also online. These codes will be available for that, okay, as well. So guys, and the links are on the chat. The link for the courses are on the chat as well. For the winners, let us know which of these you're interested in, and we'll quickly sign you up for these.
And where do we get the slides and the videos?
Awesome.
Great question.
So with the PMI, we have a list of email addresses where they registered. So they're going to go ahead and send that to them. The rest of the group, we have the SFAA that we're going to point out the link to the website. So you'll have all the videos. I would highly just look at teculture.com/events, which we shared that with you earlier. You could put that also in the slide. That'll have all the information there as well. So you have several places that we're going to make sure you get it. If not, you have our email addresses, Regina, if you wanted to share that, or Transformation Experts, again, on the website, you'll be able to pick up who we are. Anyone else?
We'll put the email address on the chat. The team will put that out there on the chat.
Oh, yeah.
That's,
all right, guys.
That's teculture.com/events.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful day and have a safe weekend. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah.
All right,
Happy
be safe,
Passover
everybody.
And happy Easter, everybody.
Yes.
You
Be
guys.
safe. Be safe.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, coaches.
Great job, team. Great job, volunteers. Great job, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Raise the roof. Great job, Mark.
The roof.
Great
The
job.
roof. The roof.
This is the time that the coaches get a little crazy, so you don't want to stay on work right now. This might be a little.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Exactly.
Damn right it is.
Not want to be involved in this conversation.
Remember, schedule your online happy hours and your coffee time. Don't
They
forget.
can start
with your
now.
teams.
No, it's 5 o'clock now. It's 5 o'clock now.
Somewhere.
No, there's no waiting.
Good job.
Yep, no lines, no
Guys,
waiting.
way to participate. Look at James. Good job.
No waiting.
That's a lot of good people out there. I
No
don't
lines,
see
no
all the
waiting.
peoples, though. They're all clocking out. All right,
Yep.
guys. So again, amazing job. Thank you guys for helping us out. Volunteers, PMI, SFA, great job. I know it's a lot of work behind the scenes, but I think overall we made it happen. So great job. Very proud of all of you guys.
Thank you to our admin team. We got the best admin team in the world. Thank you for our remote admin team.
Yes.
There's a great example of remote participation,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you. You guys did an amazing job.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out. We had great support.
Yeah. Can't do it without them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Remember to shift.
Yes.
No, thanks, Alfonso.
Guys, a lot
Oh,
of,
that was funny. That was very funny.
a lot of time was spent working on this, and I think you know,
Yes.
hard
Yeah.
work pays off, and a good bunch. Did you guys get some feedback on the audience? I mean, from the participation in your groups, how did that work out for you guys?
They were happy.
They're happy, awesome, and they don't want to leave. This is the good thing. Look, we can say, hey, you don't have to go home.
Stay. We can hang out. Let's go have lunch.
Thank you, guys.
Great job. Thanks for showing up, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Alfonso. Appreciate the help.
Great job, guys, working behind the scenes.
Alfonso, Nelu,
Art, it wasn't that hard after all, was it?
Natalia,
No, it was
Monica,
hard. It was hard.
Jesus. Did I forget anybody?
I still don't have a beard like
No.
Professor X, though.
I know that Professor X. I don't know about that.
I definitely got to add some background
Yeah, that
tropical
bike.
Oh,
things here.
well, I cheat.
Oh, how'd you do that?
Oh,
That's pretty
nice.
cool.
It's like you went
It's
into
it's called the web around. It just fits on the back of your chair.
Oh, you're kidding me. That's
Let me
nice.
shut it
See?
off.
See
Let me
what you
shut it
get
off.
when you don't leave early? You get a whole bunch of good stuff.
That's my see. There's my little green screen. Fits on the back of the chair.
There you go.
After the credits. After the credits.
Sweet.
Yeah, I heard
Because-
about that. Somebody makes a green screen that you clip onto the back of your chair now.
Oh my God, that's a physical screen. Or is that a physical screen?
That's
Yeah.
a physical screen. Yeah.
Oh my God, I had not
because
seen that.
because my poor computer can't process all that background. It can't.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, send us where you got that, please. We gotta
I
get
will.
one of those.
I
I
will.
love it.
Yeah, Mark, I had the same problem.
Yeah.
I got,
Yep.
I got this message,
Yeah,
you know, it's
what?
like,
And then he just,
I thought
then he
I
just painted the doggone bedroom. Look at him. Look at him. He just painted the wall. Problem solved.
I thought it was a computer trick and it's actually tied to the back of his chair. That's
No,
pretty
it's
cool.
actually, yeah.
So anything else during the rooms? How did it go? I know, again, the transition was tough, but we'll deal with that. But any other stories that you gotta want to say in your meeting areas?
I almost feel like doing a Ferris Bueller. It's like, you know, come out of the shower with a towel on your head and it's like, guys, the movie's over.
Yeah, the movie's, yeah.
Go home already.
Go home.
Go home. The movie's over.
I love it. Oh man.
You know?
So I guess these are the rest of the people that are left on are the people that probably just said, hey, I'm just gonna leave my phone on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are removing them from the call.
Oh my goodness. So Ray, your background, is that electronic or is that real?
It's electronic.
Okay, because you know what that is, right? That's a very typical tree from Cuba and from Puerto Rico called
That is-
framboyat.
that is
Go ahead.
Yeah, right. It is a
Yeah.
flamboyant.
Flamboyant tree.
Yeah.
And my mother, who was an artist, she used to paint a lot. Used to paint those landscapes from Cuba, and she used to paint those trees.
Get out. Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
Hey,
Nice.
we still have some people. Maybe they want to ask
Yeah.
us some questions or something. Maybe we should have left you guys.
Yeah,
Anybody
if,
else? On?
Regina, that's actually a painting that's in my living room.
Is
that
it?
Yeah.
The local gentleman from Puerto Rico. and
Did
bought,
it?
and I bought a
Okay.
couple off of it.
That's pretty big too. That's cool. I like that.
It's like it's not that big. It's just because it's the background. I think the physical painting is like 12 by 12 or something like that.
Oh, you embedded it. Nice.
I think
I
there's
like that.
okay. I think there's just us. Although Leon and Heidi flew the coop.
That's okay. They probably have to run around. So guys, again, I know there's areas of improvement. I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm going to dwell on the good stuff. I think we made a big difference and we touched a lot of people today. And I think when you were in your meetings, I wish I could have visited everyone. I didn't. But I know if what I saw was we were engaged, people were listening, people were commenting, and all the topics were really special. So again, I appreciate it. I hope you also learn, because I know we're in this also to learn ourselves. And I think I just appreciate that you guys, came together to do such a good thing for what's going on today. Today it's really not about the classes. It's really about getting together with that community, right? And I think we kicked butt. So guys, thank you very much again. And I'm very humbled. You guys are awesome. All right, now get out of here and go and have an awesome weekend, okay? Stay safe.
Everybody.
You guys.
See ya.
Thank you.
Prosperity
Yeah,
and
you
long
too.
life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Very
Anderson,
amazing.
good job, Anderson.
There you go.
Thank you, Artie. Good job, man.
Anderson. Good
It's
job,
good.
Art.
Yeah, it's been
job.
a great week. Real pleasure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
All right, Laura. Yeah, happy Easter.
Bye-bye.
Hasta luego. Gracias. Gracias.
Get some rest.
Bye-bye.
Okay, admin team.
Admin team. Okay.
Yes.